Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome to Space Down Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. How y'all doing there in YouTube and Twitch land? Good to have you with us as we kick off another great show here on the mighty SOR. It is snowing up here in Canada, and what else do you expect? It's winter, and it's getting close to Christmas. Of course, we're going to have a white Christmas around here, but nonetheless, we got a great show for you tonight. UFOs, aliens versus the Bible and God. Oh, it's a good show tonight. Reverend Michael Carter is here. He's amazing. You can find any of his books on Amazon. Before we bring him on here, let's say hello to everyone in our chat room tonight. Peppa H in the gold medal position. Race fan with a silver medal. And there we have our good friend SJ taking home the bronze. And there is gorgeous Aussie Ange. Good afternoon to you over in Australia. Mennonite Abe, Nicola, Cosmic Fleur looking lovely tonight. Our man, Jeffrey DeRuin down in Texas. I'll tell you, man, you know what, audience? I'm going to give you an opportunity here. You can get Jeffrey's autograph after the show. Line up to the left of the studio. Line up to the left. Jeff, you got like a couple hours to get here for that. So, yeah, make sure you get here. Wes H., how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Grandpa Holland in Australia. Mama Susan. Guillermo is here. Guillermo will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind for Guillermo. Awesome man Palmer. Ghost Dragon. Good to see you both. Todd Purden, thank you for coming on in as we continue with roll call. There's Nightmare. Nice to see you, my friend. And who else do we got? Downshift and our gorgeous Nicole Perrin. There we are. And PBR GMA1, welcome to our channel for the first time. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'd appreciate that. Mr. Lurks a lot, good to see you. Irish Lincoln, nice to have you back. Sun Saver, good to see you. Awesome Cat Chaser, how are you? Good to see you. Dirty Filth, nice to have you here, buddy. And there's gorgeous Carrie Ann right there, hiding just around the corner. She's just peeking on in. Stunning Jeanette Sanchez, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Spooky Morales and his trumpet will be playing after the show, so stick around for that. David S., nice to see you. The gorgeous Tammy Finnegan has arrived. Who else do we have here? Richard Elmore, $5,900. Project Blue Book. Phil Minervino, how you doing? Luscious Jules, good to see you. Vash the Impaler, nice to have you back, buddy. James Smith, Noble Patrick, good to see you both. As we continue on with roll call tonight, Uncle Dale and his power stash are here. Remember, if you're in Austin, Texas, and you see Uncle Dale rub his power stash for the rest of December of good luck, can he get an amen for Uncle Dale? Yes, he will accept that. Sensational Sherry, nice to see you. Awesome Arlene Adkins-Zell, nice to have you back. And who else do we have here? There's our good friend TMI. Steve Muir, nice to have you in our chat room. How are you? My brother Eugene Braxton, nice to have you here, my friend. Much love to you, brother. And where are we here in the roll call? And we have the gorgeous and talented Kara McIver from Saskatchewan. Remember, she's a Flatlander, so everybody just wave towards Saskatchewan. Kara will see you, and she'll wave back. That's how it works. It's true. Jim Lucier in Saskatchewan. How are you? Wave to Jim as well. Goober Bear, nice to have you here. Lovely Lynn LeBlanc, nice to see you. Kronos, the gorgeous and talented Kira. How are you? Good to see you both. And as we continue on with roll call, the radio side is started. Lee Poping, nice to see you. And who else do we have jumping on in? The lovely Kathleen Hughes is here. There she is, a nice picture of her kitty on her YouTube. The gorgeous Dirt Road, good Canadian kid right there. Hi there. How are you? Raven is Ryan, Roy the boy. Nice to see you both as we continue on with roll call, and we are done. Done. Fini. I know more people will roll on in. Remember, a great way to support this show, ladies and gentlemen, is through the super chat. It is open. If you're brand new to our channel, hi 405er and Oob Joe's Main, you've got aliens. And remember, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. We are here 7 days a week. And of course, do us a favor, do a little shopping as we get close to Christmas. We have a store right below here if you take a look, and on our website, spacedoutradio.com. Follow us on our social media, including our brand new TikTok channel. We would greatly appreciate it. Do me the favor. It's time to rock. Horns up for Bumblefoot. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio, Instagram @Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok @Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a beautiful guest for you tonight. He's an author. He's a reverend. Michael Carter is originally from Baltimore, but is an ordained interfaith minister and received a bachelor's degree in letters from the College of New Rochelle, where he graduated cum laude. He received his master's in divinity degree from Union Theological Seminary in New York City in 2000. He's also a lifelong UFO contactee. His book, Alien Scriptures, Extraterrestrials in the Holy Bible, was in March of 2014. It was #1 on Amazon.com's list of UFO-related books. He currently serves as the minister for the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Swanannoa. I'm probably butchering that because I'm Canadian. Swanannoa Valley, located in the beautiful mountains of western North Carolina. And we are so proud to have Michael Carter here. Reverend Michael, thank you so much for being on radio. How are you?
I'm good, brother. It's good to be here. How you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time for our audience. Sure. You are a rarity, my friend. You are a rarity. You are a man of the cloth. You are a man who has given his life to God, but you also have these incredible experiences yourself that have been lifelong with extraterrestrials. I got to ask you, my friend, I mean, are you surprised that you are a rarity in this field?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. You know what? I am, in the sense of I'm an experiencer, as are you. And so I think that kind of sets the bar. It moves the needle a bit. When I first started on this journey after my experiences and going to therapy and just trying to make sense of it, I discovered that there were other clergy, not a lot, who wrote about UFOs in the Bible. My good friend and colleague, Dr. Barry Downing, retired Presbyterian minister, wrote a book in 1968 called The Bible and Flying Saucers. Reverend Virginia Brasington, we got some female energy in the house. She wrote a book, Flying Saucers in the Bible. You probably can't see that. Morris K. Jessup wrote a book, UFOs in the Bible, died under mysterious circumstances in the 1950s. The Holy Bible and Extraterrestrial Transmission. C.L. Turnage. She died early, much too young. But she was a student of Zachariah Stitchin's. And of course, Mr. Ted Peters wrote a book, UFOs, God's Chariots. He's out on the West Coast. He's an academic, more of a skeptic, but they were tackling this. So I stand on the shoulders of those folks, most definitely. But as far as I know, there are not many people, many clergy who, if they are experiencers, they're not coming out and saying it. So that's a long answer, but so I am an anomaly for now. I'm hoping more folks will come out if they've had these experiences, because religion, we really need to get on the ball here as far as acknowledging that we're not alone and that our ancestors in the Bible, the Quran, they were telling us about these beings.
Okay, for you, let's learn about you here before you joined the church and gave yourself and your faith to Christ and God. You're an ET contactee. When did it all start for you?
Well, who was it? The Danish theologian, philosopher Kierkegaard, Søren Kierkegaard, said life is lived forward, but it's only understood backwards. So it started for me December 28th, 1989. That's when I had my initial experience with this gray individual. But when I was a child, I could see the aura around people. I would sit in my room. I remember this and just stare at these orbs, and they would be flying, just floating, not flying, floating around me. And I thought everybody saw them, and I could see the three-dimensional aspect of like the space in my room. I had nosebleeds, did not know. I thought I was so naive. I was a kid. I thought my ear was bleeding. I'd wake up and I'd have this blood on my pillow. Now, it could have been a nosebleed. But then reading the literature later on about people having probes or just tracking devices. I'm not saying I do. So it probably started then. But December 28th, 1989, coming back, I've told this story ad nauseum, coming back from the pyramids at Chichen Itza and Tulum, must tell you, was not a Trekkie, I just started watching Star Trek about 5 years ago. I was raised as a Baptist, and that's where my Weltanschauung, my worldview was. So if it wasn't in the Bible, it didn't exist. And I came back, and I went to a party. No adult beverages served. A good friend of mine was having a get-together. So when we got back to JFK, I was living in New York. My girlfriend at the time, she was exhausted. She said, "You go, I'm going to stay home." It was cold, but I wanted to show off. I was 85, 90 degrees. I was nice and tanned. I wanted to show off. I just came back from 85, 90 degrees on the Yucatan. So I went, had tons of deviled eggs, which is my weakness, talked to folks, laughed, joke. Yeah, I need to be in a support group for this. Anyway, I'll get some help for it. So I came back home. And that night, I don't know whether I had to get up and go to the, I don't know, but there was something in my room. I felt the presence. I turned around. There was a being at the foot of my bed, could not have been more than 4 feet tall. And he looked like this, the head.
Very elongated.
Yes. And he had on, it could have been a she, so I'm just using a jumpsuit. It looked like, it was tight fitting. It looked like Reynolds wrap. It looked like aluminum foil and very spindly. And there was a blue light, like a cobalt blue light around him. And then around that was this white light. It was like my bedroom was lit up like Times Square. My girlfriend she didn't wake up. It's interesting, when my new book came out in August, and I sent her a copy. She said, I remember that night. She said, I remember, I've never seen you so scared in all my life since we have been together. And she said, I remember these shadowy figures in the room, but I just felt like I should go to sleep because she didn't wake up. Anyway, this guy is in my room. I think I'm going to have a cardiac arrest. I pull up the covers and I get in the fetal position. Now, remember, this is in New York City, the Upper West Side, 45 West 81st Street, the Excelsior Hotel. Wasn't on some rural road. And I pulled the covers up and I felt like I was outside. All of a sudden, the temperature changed. I was freezing. This is a 15-floor hotel. We lived in a residential hotel. And I finally pulled the covers down and no one was there. It was quiet. Woke Sandy up. She wouldn't mind me saying her name. And I was wired. Okay, you know how it is. I felt like I could jump out that window and fly. So I called some people, and they kind of talked me through it. I started having these visits twice a month, new and full moons, for about 8 months, maybe a year. At that time, I went to a woman named, later on, I went to late Bud Hopkins. Oh, I forget. Her name will come to me. But she worked with people. I found her name in the back of a book called Encounters by Dr. Edith Fiore, and there were some mental health professionals in the back of the book. Let me see if I have her. Anyway, she was a lifesaver because it was post-traumatic. It still is. I mean, I'm still afraid of the dark. And these people didn't hurt me really, but we got some time to go into that. But that was my first experience. And it changed my life. I mean, outside of the birth of my daughter, my ex and I, we still maintain a close relationship. Obviously, we have a child together. Outside of watching my daughter being born, this is up there. And it just took my whole trajectory away from where I was and trying to wrap my mind around that. And I went to the Bible only because that's the way my mind works. I'm more of a spiritual kind of person. And, you know, spirituality and religion can sometimes be two different things. I get that. But I'm not the kind of person who is into propulsion systems and back engineering. Better minds than mine can deal with that. But I was more interested in, when this happens to you, how do you live the rest of your life? And so that was the trajectory of my personal path. It was more of that kind of thing.
So for you having this experience, how do you...
Jean Mundy. I'm sorry, Dave. Dr. Jean Mundy.
Perfect.
Yeah, she was the one who told me I wasn't crazy. And then
So
later,
for you having this experience and, you know, really testing your limits of faith in regards to this, did you think that this was going to be a one and done encounter, or did it continue on after that?
Oh, it continues on to this day. And sometimes there's years in between, but they do come and they will come, I'm sure. Again, I had no reference point, but it happened so rapidly, and I started seeing a pattern very quickly. Every full and new moon, which is twice a month, I would get a visit, and that visit usually entailed, at that time, you know, I was home by myself. Sandy worked at night for the most part, my ex, and I was usually paralyzed. And they would show me pictures. One time they did hurt me but I asked them not to. Basically, what had happened was, they stuck a needle in this. What's that little hollow place there? Your
Yes.
brainstem. I mean, it was excruciating, and it was painful. And I talked to an astrologer friend of mine who was very wise in these matters, and as was Sandy. I got to tell you, she stuck with me, you know, because a lot of relationships break up when one person is having these things and the other one doesn't. We broke up for other reasons, and remained friends. But my friend Donna Cunningham, she said, you got to set some boundaries around these people, man. She said, you know, just do it. I know you're going to seem like it's stupid. She said, talk to them. They're around you. You need to tell them, you know, let's dial it back a little. So I did. I remember I was screaming up in my apartment in New York. I was crying. And I remember Sandy came in and she said, I came in, you're standing in your shorts, yelling up at the ceiling. She said, I didn't know what to make of it. So anyway, about maybe 10 days to a week later, they came. And, you know, it was the paralysis. And they showed me a picture of a syringe. And I could, you know, it's like when you go get your blood taken and the nurse is so lovely and you don't even feel it. And they stuck it in my crown. And I didn't feel it. So I took it as they were listening to me. Somebody's got to listen to me, Dave. Sometimes my daughter doesn't listen to me, but somebody's got to listen to me. So I just took it as, wow, they listened to me. And that was the only time. And so the lesson from all of this is and was, Dave, you know, they didn't tell me this is your mission or anything like that. But what they made me look at was, outside of the bizarreness of these brothers and sisters popping up in my bedroom at night, because like you, I've seen several different races. It made me look at, Michael, where else do you let fear get in the way of your life? Because outside of the bizarreness and the suddenness, these folks never hurt me. If anything, my life, they expedited my spiritual journey, you know, for me. And so it made me dial the fear down a little bit. I mean, I still have it, like tonight, you know, I'm not as fearful, but, you know, I sleep with the light on till the last minute, and as if that's going to keep people from coming. I close my blinds, you know, but, you know, it's kind of post-traumatic. But I'm so much better than I was, man.
Reverend Michael, you keep referring to the extraterrestrials as people.
Yeah.
This kind of shocks me a little bit, because you have dealt with mantids, you've dealt with greys, you've dealt with reptilians,
Yeah.
and we're going to get into those stories a little bit later on in the show. But I'm very surprised, because rarely, if ever, do we hear experiencers call those from the stars people.
Well, Native Americans, some nations call them star people or the star tribes. I don't like the word alien. I don't like it when we use it with human beings. These are sentient beings. Some of them have families. You know, they have lives. And so for me, it just keeps that distance. I feel that one of the things we need collectively is to kind of lose that illusion of separateness, whether it's from a God or whether it's from our neighbor, whether it's from, and so, you know, these are my brothers and sisters. The Dalai Lama talks about that as well. And so that helps me not refer to them as the other, because that's a part of the fear, but we do that with each other and we perpetuate us versus them. And I try to steer away from that.
No, and I think that's very profound because it sounds to me that you have been, as we got about 4 minutes to go here before we get to the bottom of the hour
Oh my
break.
God, it went so quickly.
uh, This will go very quickly tonight, to be absolutely blunt with you. But the idea that you have had needles put on you and you've
Yeah.
been prodded and poked and everything, the fact that you are seemingly almost at peace with your communication and your contact experiences, I'm very, very surprised that you're choosing empathy over anger.
You know, okay, now we probably have 3.5 minutes. Okay, I think I came off kind of lucky. When I was in New York, and I'll make this succinct, there was like the John Mack camp, which I was in, and there was kind of Bud, my brother Bud, who's transitioned on, and everybody, I'm talking about Bud Hopkins. Um, the people in Bud's camp, they had been poked, prodded, sperm taken, ovum taken, you know. I didn't get all that. The only thing, the most traumatic thing that happened to me was outside of the fear factor was just the needles. They had it. And so I want to be clear. There are people who've been abused and what have you. I don't have answers for that. And I respect that. And that's very real. But I also wanted to, I have another experience, and that needs to be just as valid, because at the beginning, 20, 30 years ago, it was all, first of all, it didn't exist. Then it was that they were all evil, especially if they were, they looked different. If you were, you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that I don't think we're going to sing Kumbaya with every race that comes, nor should we. But the experiences I've had, except for that needle stuff, because I got healed from a blood clot. So I guess nobody's all bad. And we can talk about that. That was in 2013. So I kind of like, they're my friends. I didn't understand it at first, but I do now. And I still get fright, but they're my friends. These are my friends.
You
Not
call
all
them,
of them.
you call them friends,
Yeah.
yet you're afraid to go to sleep at night.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, nothing is always rational. I sleep well, but it's like someone, who's had an experience. It's and that it deeply, it's conflicting. For me, my fear comes is because when this show is over, I could go back there tonight. I have to get up in the morning and get to the church, and I could have a visit. The fear is how quickly they can show up. I could be looking here, and I could turn around, and they're right there. That would keep you kind of jumpy no matter what. But as far as a fear of, oh, no, they're going to hurt me, I don't have that fear. I'm just hyper vigilant, which is part of post-traumatic stuff. Vietnam vets have it for different reasons, but they're my friends. And it's not always rational, but it is what it is. And I got a good life. My heart is open. I love. I admit mistakes. I don't have to be right all the time. Part of that's my own growing process and spiritual journey. But like I said, they expedited that. And life is contradictions. People are contradictory. I'm preaching on that this Sunday about the contradictions of people. Yeah.
You are a beautiful man, Reverend Michael Carter.
Thank
And
you, brother.
I am so excited to have you here for another 2 hours here on Spaced Out Radio as we continue on with the experiences of Reverend Michael Carter. You can find all of his books online at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble. I'm telling you, we are in for one amazing show tonight. Reverend Michael Carter, God, the Bible versus extraterrestrials, aliens, and UFOs. Where do they come together? Where are they apart? We'll find out next on Spaced Out Radio. All right, my friend.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thorne.
That was an amazing first half hour, man.
Brother, you got me pumped. It's it's almost like I'm reliving it. I
feel you, man.
I know.
I totally
Yeah,
feel
and this and when you put me such at ease when you said that, I felt that when I was talking to you. I said, this brother he's playing it close to the vest, but there's something. This is great, man. This is great. And I love to get the chance to do this. And and there's nothing off limits, because I got to tell you, it changed my faith a little bit. I'm not to my Christian friends, I'm not Christian at all because of this. And some of my church members wanted me to get fired, and but it's one of those things. It opened me up as far as other faith traditions and stuff like that. That was the beauty of it.
You know where it opened it up for me, my friend, is, and a lot of people don't understand this, and a lot of my Christian friends don't understand this. I feel my experiences literally brought me closer to God.
Yes.
But drew me further away from religion.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That is it. Because I wanted to say, and we can talk about this, I didn't dedicate my life to Christ. I mean, I got baptized, but it's no longer that. I'm not even what people would even refer to as a Christian. I mean, that narrative of Jesus, it means, well, we'll talk about it, because
we'll get into that during the show, because that's deep, and I want that.
That's deep, brother.
Yeah, but
Julie likes my hair. I'm going to show the hair.
Yeah, please put the hair down. We're
let your hair down, Mike. I'm so uptight.
Yeah, look at that beautiful dreads there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we both had the same length, brother. When I cut my hair, it was your length, Dave. It was your length now. So I can imagine you with your long hair. Are you going to let it grow back?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to let it probably another.
Yeah.
I want to bring it down to my chin level.
So you got a ponytail?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It works for me. Veteran Surf Jer, a beautiful veteran here on Spaced Out Radio. We love our veterans around here. Thank you so much for that awesome super chat, Surf Jer. Much love to you. And I believe Surf Jer is a Vietnam vet, if I'm correct. So God bless you, man. Yeah, God bless you. Thank you so much. Home. The lovely and talented Sonia's News has arrived. Oh, she's got a great UFO channel. I love listening to her speak. Love listening to her. Magnus Magnuson, all the way from, I believe, Denmark or Iceland or somewhere like that.
Wow.
Anonymous Rex, much love to you for coming on in. And Mennonite Abe says, I like what this guy is laying down. And yeah, let's see. Who else do we have here? Wow. Kira, thank you so much. Much love, my friend. She is amazing. Now, this lady here, she is tuned in. Very tuned in. And she was like, they were upgrading you.
Yes, I saw that.
The gorgeous and talented Simply Coco, please tell us what your beverage of choice is for tonight. Appreciate that. She always has a beverage of choice. Usually it's a nice sangria. So we're going to find out here momentarily. Jeffrey DeRuin, my friend. Hey, by the way, Jeff, not only thank you for that awesome super chat, but I had a great conversation with you today, man. I really appreciated that. Found out that he's an engineer, gets to play on the trains.
Wow.
I wish I always admire guys who get to play with the big toys. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I mean, with that mind, with an engineer's mind, that's a brilliant mind, man, to be able to do that.
Oh yeah, he sent me pictures of inside the train, and he's like, "Yeah, it's pretty boring, this." And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I'm so jealous right now, totally jealous. All right, Neil Attenbury, welcome to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us. The gorgeous Carl. The stunning Amy Vegas O has returned. Awesome Annie Svensson. There's our other great veteran, Black Dragon, former Marine. We love you, my friend. How you doing? And who else is here? Because we're just about to come back here in a few seconds. Dirty Filth, thank you so much, buddy, for your amazing art and your amazing talents and your amazing super chat. I'll read off the super chatters here. Dirty Filth, Jeffrey, Kira, Surf Jer, Backspin, and Guillermo. Thank you so much. Chad Smith, the Chad Smith. Appreciate you, buddy. And yes, it is sangria. Look at that. Here we go.
Sangria.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to say hello to everyone who is tuning us in and remind you that you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. I tell you, if you missed the first half hour of the show, you're going to want to rewind this one on our podcast and check it on out. Our guest tonight, author, Reverend Michael Carter. What is it like to not only be a reverend and a man who has deep religious background, but to be a UFO and ET experiencer as well? You can find all his books on Amazon as well as Barnes & Noble. So check it on out. Reverend Michael, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. I'm having so much fun here, my friend.
I am too, brother. You know, it's past my bedtime, but this is pretty good stuff.
Well, so far so good. And we're gonna fire it up. Let's get deep here, my friend, because you know what? A lot of people in religion really get fearful of this topic. They are scared. They think anything that could potentially come from a different planet, a different dimension, it is evil, it is dark, it is from the devil himself.
Yeah.
Yet my argument to everybody regarding this, and I love this debate, and I actually had it about 2 months ago with one of our ministers of one of our local churches here in my town.
Okay.
And I asked him point blank, I said, can we agree? Because I'm kind of a God guy too. Okay? Yeah. That's the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
I said to him, I said, can we agree that God is the Alpha and Omega? He goes, yes. And I said, okay, can we agree that science has proven that the universe is infinite? He goes, so far, yes. I said, so how can we be naive enough to think that in a universe that is so far, we can't even find the middle, let alone the end, that we are God's only creations?
Yeah, that's the $100,000 question. I think it's because sometimes it's more difficult to unlearn something than it is to learn something new. It makes us uncomfortable, and I'm not being apologetic. I just, because I would get frustrated, and I still do. But it's harder to unlearn. We've been taught that. We've been taught that because the way Scripture has been interpreted to us from childhood. We grow up with that. If you ask a question, you are a troublemaker. And so now you got the answers and you can't even ask the questions. And so so now when you start to wake up, and I'm using that in the Buddhist sense, not in the cultural sense about people being woke or what have you, but there's a metaphor there that you go, oh my God, I don't believe this. I'm not who they thought I was. I don't. And usually there's some type of, it could be your brother went to Vietnam, coming back, welcome home, different than he was when he went there. It could be an NDE, near-death experience, OBE, something that throws cold water in your face and you go, wow, I was asleep. This is not what I thought it was. And so sometimes, and you don't always have to learn. You can learn through joy. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't have to be traumatic, but something has to shake us up. Something has to get our attention because we're sleepwalking. Also, now that we know, then you have to change. And we know that the only people who like change are wet babies. Nobody likes to change. And so this kind of throws people off. If you're a tenured professor and now all this archaeological stuff is going towards, wait a minute, we may not be alone. If you're a religion, if you're a physicist, what do I do? Do I risk my career? Do I risk the life I'm leading to rock the boat here? It's rewarding to just stay here. Don't rock the boat. I don't want to hear about this stuff. It's just human nature. Is it frustrating? Yes, but we've all done it. I was one of those people. I remember standing on a corner in Baltimore, Maryland. I don't know the context. I don't know. But I remember someone asking me, the guy I was hanging out with said, "You don't believe in life on other planets?" And I said, "No." And I remember his look on his face, as if he was shocked. And he said, "Why?" And my answer was, because it's not in the Bible. Now, 45 years later, I'm telling people what a difference 45 years makes. Yeah, it is in the Bible and the Quran and the Dhammapada, and all these civilizations and these scriptures talk about it. So it's frustrating, but you got to be a little patient with our brothers and sisters, man, because it's a big thing to have your world rock like this.
So where did this fear from the religious community come from when it comes to the Bible, extraterrestrials, and UFOs? Why is there such a fear of believing that there is a godly creation of life somewhere else that may have been around a lot longer than human beings and has the technology already to get here?
Because it's fear of the unknown. I mean, these aren't sexy answers, but it is. And again, it rocks my world. Listen, people write me and they say to me, "Can I be a Christian or can I be a religious person and still believe in UFOs?" That shows you that fear, that angst, that struggle. Because somehow they're saying, if I believe this, I have to give up this. And you don't have to give up anything. But we're taught that. And we're in the West. So it's either good or bad, right or wrong, positive, negative. We're not taught to look at things as an integrative whole. That's why I love the Taoist symbol, the yin yang, because there's a little dark in the light, a little light in the dark. That's life. In the West, and I'm trained in the West, we're taught dualism. It's either black or it's white. It's never both and. But now we know that life is both and. It'd be easier if it was just this or that, but life is much more complicated. And human beings like certainty. Religion likes certainty. The knee must bow a certain way. You have to say these prayers just this way. Life is messy. Relationships are messy. And so we want to be certain, and we don't like mystery. We always have to know. That's why I love the philosophy and the spirituality of the Lakota Sioux, among many First Nations, because they call the Great Spirit Wankatonkin, the Great Mystery. And they're okay with living with mystery. I don't have to know everything, because the finite can never comprehend the infinite. So we need to be able to risk being uncomfortable. It's nothing wrong with being afraid. It's wrong if you live from that place. What am I afraid of? That takes some soul searching. That takes some peeling of the onion. And until that can happen, we're always going to have this. But quantum physics is starting. Look, quantum physics says, well, not quantum. Quantum physics is more, I think, is more of what reality is really like. But remember, science says, I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it. Spirituality says, if you believe it, I'll show you. Two different worldviews. That's number one. Number two is Einstein said it. The most important question you can, well, one of them to ask yourself is the universe a friendly place? Because the way you answer that question will dictate how you live your life. And the church has promoted a lot of fear. And because we didn't understand. We'll burn you at the stake if you have red hair or if you're clairvoyant. How many people have died because they challenged the Trinity? I mean, we found really inventive ways. We'll nail you to a piece of wood if we don't like what you're saying. So, that's the extreme. But we gotta kind of look at the fears and move through the fear and the ignorance. And it's a slow evolution, but that's the only way I know, brother. If I knew, we could split the Nobel Prize money, but that's where I see it coming from. Fear of the other. Your lips are thicker, your hair's different, your skin's different. You're different from me. I need to watch you, as opposed to saying, this is curious. This is curious. Let me engage this. I'm a little nervous, I'm a little awkward, but let me engage this. Two different ways of looking at the world. This is what Gene Roddenberry was talking about in Star Trek, that we have to embrace the differences if we're going to be a mature race. And I'm talking about race as human and going into the 21st century and beyond. Boy, that's a long answer.
No, that was a beautiful answer.
Let me have my water.
Reverend Michael Carter is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You can find all of his books on UFOs of the Bible on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble. I want to ask you regarding this. A lot of experiencers, and we kind of touched on this during the break, a lot of experiencers, they claim, myself included, claim that these experiences have brought them closer to a belief in God or a belief in a higher entity or power, yet it has taken them a little bit further away from the religious side of the deity that they choose to pray to or to worship.
Right.
Why is this happening, and what are people seeing? Where we see more people now, instead of going to church, they're going into nature. They're they're staring up at taking the time to meditate and stare up at the stars. Trying to find their inner peace in their inner core. Yeah. How has that changed? How does that work?
Well, listen, we're in the West, so let's talk about Jesus, Yeshua, our brother, for a minute. Jesus was born a Jew, okay, with all the beauty and profound, all the beauty of that religion, okay? The keeping of Moses, and the 8th century prophets, and, Amos and Elijah and Ezekiel, and, that rich history of being conquered as well, Babylon, Rome, the list goes on. One of the things that got Jesus in trouble was because he was moving out of Judaism as they know it. I mean, people wanted to stone him. People said, you're not keeping the law and the prophets. And so Jesus said, no, you can do both. I respect Moses. I respect my ancestors, but I'm coming with a new kind of thing here. You got to bring your A game. Now you just can't love other Jews. You got to love the Roman. You got to love the Samaritan. You got to bring your A game now. It's not just you don't covet your neighbor's property. You don't sleep with your neighbor's wife. You don't do it with anybody, whether they're circumcised or not. And Jesus, outside of, Rome was not having it. Rome, they play hardball. That was a no-no, brother. And so the same people who say, Hosanna, he's here, look, get out of the way, the donkey, on Palm Sunday, 5 days later, they're saying, give us Barabbas. This is how human beings are. My point being is that, like you, like me, like your guests, we were in a box. And then we decided we're going to make the box a little bigger. Some of us said, I can make the box a little bigger, but I like the box. The old ways work for me. Some people say, I got to throw that yoke off. It doesn't work for me anymore. Well, that gets people nervous. You're going into nature. You're saying, God is out here. God is in me. I don't need a priest. I don't need an imam. I don't need a rabbi. It's right here. Well, that gets people nervous, see? That'll get you in trouble. 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, you said what you just said to me. I said this.
That's a death sentence.
You're done. So we've changed, but we haven't changed. And it's we got this technology, man. But sometimes we still have that primitive, for lack of a better word, don't want to be offensive, with this old way of thinking. But there's a new paradigm now. And either you get on board or life will pass you by. Life will pass you by. But Jesus scared people. Buddha scared people. Did he scare people? Yeah. 500 years before, Joan of Arc scared people. You scare people.
True.
But you got to stay on the love train as much as you can, like the OJ said in their song. And you just got to, because you can only go, if you're going to be a leader, you can only go as fast as your slowest person.
Let me ask you this. Jesus Christ.
Yes, a good friend of mine.
Was he an extraterrestrial or a human?
I think he was a hybrid. Listen, if your mommy's human and your daddy isn't, that means you're not fully human. You know, it's no debate about that. Ray Charles can see that. And this is what we're talking about. You see? So it sure makes his ministry a little easier to understand. Now we may have gotten some things screwed up as far as what he was about and what he wasn't, but if my mom is human, or it could be your dad, in this case it's Mary, and his dad is not human, then he's not human. He's not fully human. If you look in the works of Josephus, which I happen to have over here, he is mentioned in those works. Remember Josephus, kind of a shady kind of character. He was Jewish, and when Rome kind of, after the Second Temple thing, he switched to Roman side, and he's a character. But he mentions Jesus, and he says, and I'm paraphrasing, but you can Google the works of Josephus. He mentions Jesus. He said he was some type of man. He said, if we can call him a man. Now that's a little hint, So he existed. I forget the word he used. I haven't looked at the passage, but he does say, if we can call him a man. There was something special about this person. It sure would explain some of the miracles, make it easier to understand that. But it doesn't change his ministry. I mean, only God knows where he was when he would go off alone. But look, a star came to his birth. I mean, a ship. Stars don't shine lights down on mangers. Planes do that. Ships do that. Ships do that, man. If a star went across the sky, you want to talk about climate change, the whole gravitational pull of the earth would be upside down. But ships do that. Came right over, hovered over, shining right down on them. You got these folks coming from the east. That's what the Buddhists do with when there's a special birth. They send emissaries from the east. So people knew that, if you could say in some ways, that Jesus was a Buddha. They said, we know that we study astrology, astronomy. We know there's a special birth. They're bringing him gifts and stuff. But a ship does that. When he leaves, what does he get? He goes up on a cloud. Our ancestors weren't dumb. They know the difference between a cloud, but they didn't have the language. So he goes up on a cloud. Well, thousands of years before that, when Moses, what did they say? They followed the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. At night, it was a cloud. Sometimes they camouflage themselves in these things. They hide in clouds. At night, they glow. This is the Hebrew religion, the Exodus. So just like we got tired of saying unidentified flying object all the time, they got tired of saying the pillar of cloud by day, the pillar of fire by night. By Jesus' time, they just said, oh, man, that's the cloud. It's the cloud.
Wow.
The cloud. Ezekiel was the chariot. Elijah goes up in the chariot. Man, these things are flying. If you notice in the Bible, nowhere does it say that these people had wings. Now, for listeners, I'm not saying they're no angels, please. But I'm just saying nowhere in the Bible do these people have wings. I believe our ancestors drew wings on them because they were trying to say these beings could fly. And again, we can have two different ideas here. So don't go crazy. I'm not saying there are no angels. I'm just saying, in the story of Abraham, they're eating food. These are flesh and blood people eating the good food that Abraham put out and Sarah put out for them. There's one passage in the Bible when Yahweh is talking about he smells the aroma of the meat they were cooking. You can Google it. I mean, what kind of God needs to eat it? I'm not mad that he's not a vegetarian. I'm just saying, what kind of God eats? When I think of a God now, especially after my experiences, it's more of an intelligence. It's more of an energy. It's not a human being saying you're naughty or nice like Santa Claus. So my experiences, as you say, Dave, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but it changed my concept of what God is. And it's not a human being. And I can tap into that God. I can tap into that energy by meditating, by contemplation, by walking in the woods. I call them spiritual technologies. That's how I can tap into it. And it's in here. If I lost my job because people were saying, you know what, Michael, you've been a good guide and whatever, but I don't need that anymore. That's okay. I find a job doing something else. But it's that my God better than your God. When we take it there, pick up a newspaper. I'm sorry, we don't have newspapers anymore. Look at your social media. Yeah, I'm telling my age is coming up. Yeah, just pick it up. Look at this stuff that's going on. Because you don't believe the same way I believe. I'll kill you. I'll kill you, man. This is where we are.
We got 90 seconds before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour. Reverend Michael Carter is our guest tonight. Your words are just hitting home with a lot of people here, and I'm noticing it in the chat room tonight that everybody is, pretty much throwing their hands up in the air and saying amen to you, my friend. With
Thank
what
you.
you're talking about, hard question. This may take us into the next break because we got about a minute left. What race of extraterrestrial do you think God is, or Jesus as a hybrid?
I don't think they have a race. Okay, but you mean what do they look like? I don't know. But they had to look human. There's that argument of, well, if they're in the Middle East, they got to be dark. I'm thinking they had to look like, if Jesus as a child went into Egypt, you remember they fled because Herod got a wild hair and they wanted to kill him, and Mary and Joseph fled into Egypt. The angel said, go to Egypt, and when Herod's done, I'll bring you out. If he had to look like the people who lived in Egypt, or else Herod would know what he looked. You know what I mean? He had to blend in. So, all I know is that he was human. He was probably darker skinned, as most people were at that time in that part of the world.
Is the word race a good word, like race of extraterrestrial? Is that a good way to put it? Or
I put it like that. Yeah.
Omnipresence.
I put it like, yeah, they're different races. They're different species. They're different races. Like we have different races.
Okay.
We have different races. The only thing is, they just don't get hung up on that.
All right, my friend, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break at the top of the hour here. Reverend Michael Carter is our guest tonight. Extraterrestrials, aliens, UFOs versus the Bible and God. Which side are you on? Who you placing bets on? Maybe that's a wrong term to say, but that's all right. We're having an amazing conversation tonight. Find all of Reverend Michael's books on both Amazon and Barnes & Noble. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio in Hour 2 next. Stay tuned. We're clear.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you right now, and I think my audience will agree with me on this. I would say you're one of my top 10 guests ever.
Oh my
I've
God.
no problem saying that. You are. I am just floored. I am wowed. I am amazed. I'm in awe. I am stunned. I am so thankful that that you're on this show. Like, oh my goodness, like this is incredible.
Brother,
Absolutely.
I've been looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it, Dave. Yeah, and I love and you know, we'll talk more. But your audience and you, and others like you, this is how you change consciousness, because it's all about consciousness. And you're putting these ideas out there. You're not threatening folks. You can believe it or you don't. You can mull over it. And because who was it? Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once the mind is stretched, I'm paraphrasing, it never goes back to it can't go back to its original dimensions. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You are raising the frequency, because that's what we need. Because we could really go off the rails here as a species, or we could say, let's go into the age of Aquarius and let's make some changes. The choice is ours, but we need guides. We need you. We need people. You're on the airwaves, man. That's power. And people writing in 20 here, 5 here, 15 there, keep you going.
Right.
You can't beat it with a stick, brother.
I just want to say one thing. I want to say a big thank you to Mark Eddy, who recommended our booking team to bring you on tonight. Everybody's always like, great guest, Dave, great guest. It wasn't me. I'm just the show host.
Yeah.
My booking team I believe it was Filth, reached out by Mark Eddy and said, hey, let's get Reverend Michael on Spaced Out Radio. And this sounded like a wonderful show. I love this combination of topics, and by God, we hit a home run here tonight.
This is gorgeous, and we still got time.
Yes. Oh yeah, my audience is putty in your hands right now. Just so you know. Well,
we're like-minded people. It's good, like you said, after getting beat up all day, to come home. You know, fear this, fear that, fear this, fear that, and then you come home and you get some energy from like-minded people. That's what you need. That's what we need. And that's what you're giving us.
You're giving us one hell of a show here. You're giving us one hell of a show.
Oh, brother, this is beauty.
Much love to you, my friend. I am.
Thank you. Well, we'll talk more. We'll be doing some more.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is
more.
Definitely
we
happening.
can talk about a lot of topics. It'll pump me up because I got to be at the church in the morning. Christmas time, brother. It's a busy.
In hour 2, I will introduce some questions from our audience in the chat room, so I'll read them off to you, if you don't mind.
No, fine.
Wow, I just cannot. Wow, I am.
There's a hunger for this type of conversation, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's it, because if we don't talk about it, you know, it gets how are we going to communicate?
I'm just going to say hello to a few people here
Please.
who just joined us. James Smith, how are you? Anthony Luciano Raimondi, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Rooted in Gorgeous Sacredness, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that. Who else has come in late here? Gianni Russo, how are you? Welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to take and hit that subscribe button as well. We would appreciate it. And we're having an amazing show tonight. And 509er, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. This is wow. Wow. Yeah, you're coming back on soon.
Oh,
I will.
anytime, brother, anytime.
You're
Listen, I
coming.
love it. Keeps me off the streets.
Mm-hmm. Keeps me going too.
Yeah, otherwise I'd be out there having a beverage.
Well, I would like to have a beverage right now too, and I just might because I got some nice cold water here.
Yeah, that's what I had. And some tea. I had some herbal tea. Oh my God, it's still sitting here. Probably cold.
Probably, but that's
Mm.
okay.
No, I was engaged, man. I forgot it was there. It's okay. It's tea. Occasionally, I'll have a cold one. I mean, not this late at night, but on the weekend, I'll watch the game and have a cold beer.
And he's in Asheville, North Carolina, which is the home of some great single A and double A baseball.
Oh, yes. That's right. We were talking about, yeah.
That's right. Earlier on,
Asheville tourist.
when we were chatting before the show, I know the Asheville tourist because a local kid, when I was in sports radio, a local kid who got drafted by Colorado actually played
that's right.
the Asheville tourist. What was his name? It was a left-handed pitcher.
I don't remember his name, but listen, Russell Wilson for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, he played in Asheville.
He played for the tourist.
Yeah. We got 10 seconds.
Okay.
Big thank you to all the super chatters out there. Thank you to the veterans who are listening to this show. We're rocking and rolling here, everyone. Here goes hour number 2. Let's do this thing.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are in this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Wanian. Wanian is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Reverend Michael Carter out of North Carolina. Not only is he a man with his own church and his own congregation, but he's an ET contactee and experiencer as well. An interesting topic tonight. It's the Bible and religion versus UFOs and extraterrestrials. What side do you fall on? Is there a side to fall on? Reverend Michael, thank you so much for joining us again. Before we get to audience questions, we always see this great debate. We even hear about it right now within the United States government, where a lot of people want to disclose the entire UFO phenomena and the contact that's being made. But there are the other side of the ledger here that believe it's demonic, believe that it's scary for human beings, it's scary for humankind, and they don't want anything to do with it. This is humanity's great divide right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. And there's also let's not forget the economic piece. Can you imagine free energy? I mean, can you imagine diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, that's gone? That's taking money out of people's pockets. So there's the economic piece to this too, because the business of America is business. And so, as sad as it is, but like Gerda said, no lie lives forever. And we are seeing slowly but surely this kind of disclosure. I mean, disclosure is happening now. I don't know if, I think that we may have disclosure where our government will one day have to say these beings exist. That's that's not concerning to me. And probably not to experiencers anyway. What's concerning is, are we going to say that they're our enemy? Because then we will go to war. Because we need to have an enemy. We need an enemy. We just finished with Afghanistan. Now we're talking. We're rattling sabers with China. And look, I'm not a politician. I don't have any answers to that. But I'm just saying, we've been doing this for so long. When do we find another way to deal with things? We can't always be going to war. We don't have the resources. And with the earth changes that are going to be coming, we're not going to have billions of dollars to spend for Africa Corps, for Afghanistan. We're going to be cleaning up our own cities and other places around the globe because of climate change. We're going to be needing money for that right here. We don't have that. So we got to be a little more imaginative. Violence is very unimaginative. We've got to find a different ways, very unimaginative. And so, and again, the fear divide, and you brought it up. When I started talking about this, I didn't tell people about my experiences. A publisher talked me into doing that, saying, you got to put your big boy pants on and tell people what's happening. But I saw the trajectory more, there was some folk, clergy, now they said, okay, Michael, they do exist, but they're the devil. So there was progress. Before they didn't exist at all. But like anything we don't understand, we have to demonize it. Consciousness is changing. That's what this is all about. It's not about nuts and bolts, back engineering, that's part of it, but they want us to change the way we think. Because if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change.
I want to ask you this before we get to audience here.
Yeah.
All right. There are 7.8 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
Roughly over half of those people are religious, one way or another.
In one way or another, yes.
Praying to one of the over 5,000 deities that is out there, whether it's God, Vishnu, Brahma, Buddha.
Yeah. Jesus, Mary. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my question is to you, let's say, for instance, the United States president, or whether it's Vladimir Putin or whomever, stands up at a podium and says, my fellow Americans, my fellow Earthlings, my fellow Russians, my fellow Canadians, or whatever it may be, stands up there and says, we are not alone in this universe. We have made contact. How is the religious community going to see that? Because like you said, the first action of every human being is war.
Yeah.
Is protection. I mean, and I don't like to get into the COVID talk, but I've blended these two together over the time because this is what I believe. Yeah. I think what we saw happen with COVID, where people were rushing to buy milk, or raid stores of toilet paper and food products and meat products and hoarding. We've seen some of the worst in humanity in the last 18, 19 months, coming up 2 years. And I cannot imagine things getting better if all of a sudden the president of the United States, Joe Biden, stands up at the podium and says, ladies and gentlemen, we've made contact and they are on their way. This place is going to go nuts, not only religious-wise, but you brought up the financial implications. But humanity is going to be more fearful and more scared than ever. And I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse here.
Yeah. Well,
but I'm scared for that.
I think it's see, there's the word, fear. So you see what fear has gotten us, and it just begets more fear. Okay, so we won't beat that drum. We get it. We know it. We need to work on it individually because we can't control what other people do. With the COVID thing too, fear. Because you're easier to control when you're afraid. This is not, This is not a big deal as far as people know that. I don't think so, because you had several questions in that one question. I don't think, first of all, and the government is intelligent, crafty, devious at times. They are walking us slowly through this, through the movies, through what's going on now. You know, they're walking it through because they're trying to figure it out too. I don't think as many people will flip out as we think. I think because of the indoctrination. I'm not saying there will be upheaval, but it may not be as bad. But for religion, it depends on which religion you're talking about. I will submit to you that the religions, the philosophies that make room for other deities, Catholicism, and we know, they know, you know, the Vatican knows much, much more than they're letting us know. Hinduism, Catholicism, Buddhism, which I look at as more philosophy, not a religion, they make room for other gods and goddesses and deities. So people would, you know, it'll shake them, but they have that. Christianity, as it's practiced in the West, is going to have some issues because now it brings up, okay, Jesus is Savior. For who? Is he Savior for the praying mantis? Is he Savior for the reptilian? Is he Savior for the Nordic? Is he Savior for the Arcturian? Who is he Savior for? You told me there's one God. Now I got all these other gods or godlike creatures because, see, that's where it goes to is, now Buddhism says that there's nothing, and Buddhism is a philosophy, and they don't really believe in a God, generally speaking, because they're saying anything in the world was created by something. So they're saying, is there a God? Who created the God? They're working very logically because everything, but Christians say that this intelligence was there from the very beginning. So then you see where the debate comes. Then, okay, because to our ancestors, these people were gods because of their technology. And that's where people get kind of frozen. These people were gods. Our religions, I believe, were started by extraterrestrials. I'm not saying there is no God, but it's probably not what we think as a person. But we talk about Genesis 6. We talk about the book of Enoch, where we've been bioengineered. Genesis 6, the sons of God came and saw the daughters of men, and they were fair, and they took wives, and their offspring were 8 and 9 feet tall. They had 5 and 6 fingers. This is genetic engineering. This is genetic engineering. And that's, see, it throws everything into disarray. So we have to start thinking about that. And you got to spoon feed people that. I mean, that's where I'm coming from. I mean, it's more detailed minded, but because people say if you believe in UFOs, then you don't believe in God. There's a book here by R.L. Dion written back in the 70s. Does God drive a flying saucer? You know, I'm on Ancient Aliens. We don't get into God too much, but on the shows I've been, we're talking about extraterrestrials doing A, B, C, D, E. You know, Giorgio's talking about, everybody's talking about that. But and maybe because it's too controversial too to go into God on that kind of show. But if you watch that show, it raises the questions of, is there a God? Is God an extraterrestrial? Which we need to be talking about. But it's heavy. And you got to meet people where they are. But, you know, life is moving fast. The government, I believe, is doing this because one day there's going to be a sighting that they can't explain. And it's not so much a sighting. One day someone may pull their phone out and take a picture of a craft and someone walking out of the craft. Whoa. So they got to get out ahead of this thing because they can't keep the lid on it. No lie lives forever, Nietzsche tells us. It's exciting times, and we see how it all plays out. But you know what we have to do is we have to stay on our spiritual path. We have to stay on the love train. You got to keep meditating. You got to keep contemplating. You got to keep peeling the onion. That way, when stuff gets crazy, you're not thrown off your center. You got to examine your faith. Unexamined faith is not worth having. The unexamined life is not worth living. You got to start at, we got to grow up.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Let's get to some audience questions here.
Sure.
This one you've kind of already answered, but I'm going to ask it for Guillermo anyways. What will happen to the religious people who don't understand UFOs when they finally show up to everyone?
They're going to have a shock. No, plain and simple. I don't know what they will do. I don't know. Will people commit suicide? Will they? Maybe a little bit of all of that, but they're going to have a shock. But that's what I mean about growing up. You know, sometimes things happen and there's no way around it. There's no way around it. And they'll have to look at the ontological shock and it'll just blow them away. Like if you have a near-death experience or you see one of these beings or you go out of your body, you know, it's a game changer.
Okay, so would that be, and I hate to put it this way, would that be considered collateral damage to the phenomena showing itself? That the governments of the world...
Well, yeah, that's an interesting term, but yeah, because you know you can't hold back because of a few. You can't. Whether you're Jesus, whether you're Buddha, I mean, you had to put it out there, and those where the seed was planted, it would grow, and where where it's planted and doesn't grow, it's barren. But you can't let fear, there's the word again, keep us from moving forward. Because this is what fear has already done.
True.
You know?
Julie is asking, does Reverend Michael, that's you, by the way, think all religions were based on an original, possibly astro-theological faith and distorted like a game of telephone?
Yeah.
What we have now?
I think so. I think so. I think that if you read these books, and I have the Quran, Bible, Old and New Testaments, books that were taken out of the Bible, like this book, the Book of Jubilees, they talk about the Watchers. I think that, and that's big because that freaks people out. Well, what about God? But I think our ancestors were trying to tell us that these beings were godlike. These beings didn't tell them, no, for whatever reason, except there's some instances in I think in Corinthians or Paul where they bow down, which is interesting to Paul and was it Barnabas, and they say, no, get up, I'm a man just like you. That's an interesting story. But they had a mission. This was the mission, and they did it. But there's no Jewish religion until the Exodus. No Jewish religion. They're just a ragtag bunch of slaves and tribes that had to, because Pharaoh was acting a fool. They follow a craft, the pillar of cloud by day, pillar of fire by night. Moses goes up on the mountain, he gets the rules and laws from Yahweh, who sounds like a disgruntled extraterrestrial with anger management problems. And he comes down. That's an extraterrestrial religion. Jesus comes along. We could argue that he's talking about a different God than Yahweh, because Jesus is coming with love and compassion, high spiritual teachings, but yet he goes up in a cloud. That sounds extraterrestrial to me.
Right.
Someone is asking about the King James Version. It's the worst translation you can get because everybody's talking like Shakespeare. It's beautiful. It's poetry. I would look at the RSVP, Revised Standard Version, New Revised Standard Version. There's the Aramaic translation. Jesus spoke Aramaic and Hebrew. King James Version, keep it. It's nice to have for poetry. Worst translation in the world. Or like I said, New Revised Standard Version, Revised Standard Version. Get a Hebrew English Bible, which I used in seminary, because if Jesus spoke Aramaic, why are we reading it in Greek? That's like Swahili and French. But this is what we've been taught. But you lose a lot in translation. Get yourself an Aramaic English Bible. Very different Bible. Give you an example. We've been told that Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. The Aramaic phrase, it's easier for a rope to go through the eye of a needle. It makes more sense. You're trying to get a rope. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
We also have to remember, too, the King James Version of the Bible was highly edited to suit King James of England at the time.
No question. There's no original version of the Bible. It's all been tampered with.
Jim is asking, do you think the Anunnaki god Enlil is the Jewish god?
No, clearly Yahweh is. I know what you're asking about the Sumerian text, and but I think Yahweh is. Now remember, some of these, it's a great question, Jim. Some of these deities have different names. Like the god Mercury or Hermes in Greek may be a different god, have a different name in the Egyptian pantheon. So it could be by different names. I know Zachariah Stitchin, who I met before he died many years ago, has done an exhaustive study of that. The only reason I say Enlil may not be, but remember, because there's so many of these deities, he doesn't seem to have the anger. But we don't know. He doesn't seem to have that raw ambition that Yahweh says. He doesn't seem to have that. So I would say off the top of my head, no. Because you got the Anunnaki, the Nephilim. Are they one and the same thing? What about the Palladians? They're mentioned. Pleiades is mentioned, not the Palladians, in the Bible. And so some of these groups may be different names, like African American, Black, Afro American, colored, Negro. You could all be talking about the same race with different names. So that's the best I can give you, brother.
All right, let's do a follow-up from Jim here. Do you think each religion was separately or collectively created by alien races?
I think that we made the religions. I don't think they came down. I mean, Yahweh says, I'm choosing you, you choose me. You don't marry outside your race. All the brothers have to be circumcised. I need gold. But I think we made religions out of it. Why we had to? These beings were blowing our mind. If you look at the Sumerian kings list, if you look at the Egyptian king, human beings don't live for, 25,000 years, 5,000 years. These kings did. And people wrote down their names. They had to be extraterrestrial. And then they were hybrids, because when there was intermarriage. And so they were god kings. The Sumerians talk about that. The Egyptians talk about that. And you can look at how long they ruled. You can say, no human being lives that long. So we started doing it. We started saying when they left that we'll keep it up. Here are the priests, because they had human beings that, they favored, and you'll do this. You'll get food from me. You'll do this. You'll do that. And so we have that hierarchy now. I'm a minister. I'm separate from you. I have more wisdom than you. Where do you think that came from? That came from that hierarchical system back in the day.
Reverend Michael Carter, stirring it up here on Spaced Out Radio. What a great conversation we are having You can find his books on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. We will be right back with the second half of Spaced Out Radio when we return.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron.
Awesome. Strictly awesomeness.
This is beautiful, man. I'm enjoying it.
Me too,
I'm
man.
enjoying it.
Let's see, who else is here? The gorgeous Amy W.C. has returned. That her birthday ran out 22 minutes ago. But the good news for you, Amy, birthday Amy, is here on the West Coast, you still have 90 minutes to go. Happy birthday, Amy. Awesome, Amy W.C.
That's
the
great.
Birthday girl. Alien believers, how you doing? Welcome back. And who else is here? I'm way behind. Audience in the chat room, I know this is a topic that can light up some people. All right. I'm okay with it. All right. Everybody's allowed an opinion. That's what we're here for. Okay. But do me a favor. Keep your comments in non-capital letters, because that's what we put questions in, capital letters, so that way I could read them. I don't want to we don't do capital letters as arguing here. I don't believe in that bullshit. So pardon my language, but just keep it all on lowercase. I would appreciate it. Makes it much easier for me. And we kind of go from there. Kurt Seltzer with a splash of lime. How are you? Who else has shown up here? Skip to my Lou. Welcome. The gorgeous Melissa Nicole has returned. And who else is here? Let's see here. We got a bunch of questions. The Stunning Magic Maiden, thank you for coming on in. And let's see here. Oh, there he is. Gong Show Grandmaster. How are you? The Gong Show is here, everyone. There's our man, Super Quest, the official bodyguard of Spaced Out Radio. Yeah, we love him around here. And do I have anybody else new here? Nope, we're caught up. Now I can scroll way back up. Oh, there it is. Where'd it go now? All right, now I'm ready for the questions. Oh, there we go. Man, the audience is loving you tonight. Loving you.
I'm enjoying being here. I hope they don't mind. I don't mind saying I don't know. If sometimes I don't have an answer.
Okay. Just shows the honesty.
Yes. Wow.
Getting lots of love, Rev.
Oh, is there a way? Would you tell them I love them back and thank them?
Oh, they can hear you. They can hear you.
Oh, they can hear me.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. You said they would be able to hear me. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Let's see here.
Let me turn the heat down in here. Jesus, it's freezing. I mean, I'm burning up. It's pretty cold here too, but not like where you are.
I'm sure I would be in shorts where you are.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not going to lie. I would love to be in shorts right now.
Oh, me too. With one of my island shirts and
U.S. Army Combat Medic, welcome to SOR. Very nice to have you here. We love our veterans here.
yes.
Thank you for showing on up. All right. We got about a minute to go here, boss.
All righty.
Good old Stevie franchise right there.
Great question.
All right. I want to say a big thank you tonight to Dijo, Spooky, Ozzy Ange, Dirty Filth, Jeffrey, Kira, Surf Jer, Backspin, and Guillermo for the amazing super chats tonight. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on Spaced Out Radio on a nightly basis. Don't forget, you can do some shopping at our store. If you look right below here, if you're on your computer or a laptop, you can see that we have our store right there, or go on our website, spacedoutradio.com. And of course, all the veterans out there, we love you. You always have a safe home here in our chat room. And thank you so much for your dedication and service. We really do appreciate it. And don't forget, if you aren't following us on social media, including TikTok, we'd appreciate it. And we're going to kick off the next half hour right now. Here we go as we pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always go check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with this amazing conversation with author Reverend Michael Carter. He has a church down in North Carolina, and he doesn't mind talking a little aliens every now and again, even though he doesn't like that word. No, he is an ET contactee. And this is amazing. You can find any of his books both on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. And we continue on here with the conversation. Audience questions. This one coming from Steve here, Reverend Michael. Do you believe people can contact ET races through meditation?
Yes. I know some people who have. There's a woman at my church who surprised me a couple of weeks ago after the sermon in the receiving line. She said she went out with some friends, and they call them CE5 groups. Dr. Stephen Greer takes them out, but they're kind of expensive from what I understand. But yeah, because the power of the mind, what you focus on, obviously it's metaphysics, and because thoughts are things. And and it may not happen the first time, but yeah, people do that. They do contact them. You have to be careful what you ask for too, though, but you can.
All right. I have a great question from Sherry here, who is asking, are any of your church services broadcast?
Yeah, they are. They're not ET related. Occasionally I may throw in something. Well, I'll throw in something about reincarnation. They keep me there. Yeah, it's if you go to, it's a long way, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Swanannoa Valley. That's or Unitarian Universalist Congregation, Black Mountain, North Carolina. You can see all the services. I'm usually there second, third, and fourth Sundays. I'm off the first. And when there are 5 Sundays, I'm usually off the 5th. But yeah, if you can't find it, write down this, michaeljscarter@gmail.com. Say, hey, I saw you on the show. I want to know how I can access the show, the services on Sunday. Yeah, I guess there's a show on the way. And I'll see that you can, I'll make that happen for you. But Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Swanannoa Valley or Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Black Mountain, North Carolina. You can type in my name, Reverend Michael J.S. Carter, Swanannoa Valley. They'll come up, and because we stream them, and you can watch it anytime you want.
Awesome.
Thanks for asking. And if you do show up, let me know you're there.
Anthony, who is new to our chat room, he is asking, do you or did you have a teacher? If so, who? Teacher of your scholastic. So go over your education.
Oh, okay. Yes. I graduated from Union Theological Seminary, one of the top seminaries in the country, in New York City. I guess where I got my master's degree, and I did my undergraduate work at the College of New Rochelle. I graduated cum laude. And I also I'm an ordained interfaith minister. At that time, it was called the New Seminary School. And it was in New York. I think one of my colleagues, Reverend Philip Beauchamp, may be listening tonight. He's also a graduate. So I had many teachers. And so if you're talking about academically, yeah. But again, we were talking, not about UFO stuff. I had other teachers. But I got a very, very good seminary education. As a matter of fact, I tip my hat because my master's thesis was on UFOs in the Bible. And most seminaries would say, young man, you're not graduating from here writing that kind of tripe. But Union embraced it. And that master's thesis became my first book, Alien Scriptures, Extraterrestrials, and the Holy Bible. And that's how I wound up doing these TV things occasionally and these conferences and stuff. So I've had several different teachers academically, Bible study.
Amy is asking, is it a large mistake to ask for contact? And before we get you to answer that, we should say happy birthday to our listener, Amy. And thank you.
Happy birthday, Amy. No, I won't say it's a mistake, but like anything else, what's your intention? Why do you want it? I did a conference back in 2019. It was memorable for a lot of reasons, but it's the first time I'd seen a praying mantis person when I got back home. A woman was angry. I was on a panel, and she was angry that they weren't visiting her. So you got to be careful. What do you want? What's your intention? Is it to be celebrity? Is it to be sensational? Is it to be, look how spiritual I am? Because a lot of the things that I talk about, you don't have to see extraterrestrials to have the spiritual journey. It's like those are things that are tools that may happen along the way, but that's not the path. Some people may see angels. Some people may do hands-on healing, which I wound up doing. You don't want to get, because in the sensationalism, I'm an experiencer too. Nothing wrong with that. But it's all about what's my intention. Is it to make me look like a bigger person? And you're not. I'm not implying that's what you're saying. But you want to, why do I want to make this contact? Because a lot of it is up to them. If you don't have the contact, it doesn't make you a lesser spiritual person. I know people who have never had the contact, deeply spiritual people, knowledgeable, more insight, way more. And they've never had this kind of contact. So it's all about your intention, and don't let it. A friend of mine, a good psychic, many years ago, he said something, and he's gone now. He transitioned, but he said something to me. He was a very, very gifted psychic. I mean, he could have worked for the government. He was that brilliant. And he didn't know he had it. He took a silver mind control course, and it just unlocked all this stuff. And he would do readings for me. And he said to me, and I was, because it was the only thing that was going on in my life, and tell me what the extraterrestrials say. Tell me. He said, first of all, sit down. Second of all, I can only tell you what comes to me. I can't conjure up stuff. And the third thing he said was, Michael, there's more to you in your life than seeing extraterrestrials. So he didn't say that's not important, but there's more to you. Because I was putting myself in a box. So it's not a mistake, but you want to, part of growing spiritually is asking, why do I do what I do? Why do I want to do what I do? What's my motive? And that will give you some clarity.
All right. Kind of a little bit of a controversial question here from U.S. Army Combat Medic. And I don't understand the persona of this question, but I'm going to ask you as he
I get that all the time. I get that all the time. I get that all the time. No, I don't feel guilty. A wise rabbi once said, by their fruits you shall know them. And I know Hamlet, the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape, and I know scriptures that say entities can masquerade. I don't do that. I don't do guilt. And my persona is love. My child will tell you that. My friends will tell you that. So you know me by how I live. So that's all I can tell you, brother. I'm not feeling guilty. I'm not channeling any demonic entities. I'm sharing love.
All right, let's get to Kira's question. What beings have you had contact with?
Hi, Kira. I like that last name. I showed you. Here's my little Octurian someone made for me. Here's the person I saw back in 2019. That's a story. Here's the reptilian. Here's the gray. Well, he's kind of whitish. Like I said, I had him made into a Buddha, but this is what his head was. He had a jumpsuit on, like a flight suit, like a NASCAR suit, only it was like aluminum foil. I didn't see any insignia, like a comm badge or anything, but I could have defecated on myself. I was so scared. And this brother was the one who healed my blood clot. Only he was of this race. He was blonde, blue-eyed, real pale. He had like a page haircut. We can talk about that in the next hour. That was July 4th, 2013. I had a blood clot that was healed. So those are the beings that I've seen. Beautiful people.
Anthony wants to know, do you consider your contact channeling?
No, I don't. I mean, I practice automatic writing. I took some channeling classes many years ago in a galaxy far, far away. But no, they're not channeling through me. Now they may be channeling the Reiki energy, because I remember when I was doing Reiki and people would say, this doesn't feel like Reiki energy anymore after my contacts. It felt stronger, but I don't think so. I don't think I'm channeling. The contact is channeling. I think that's what you mean.
All right, let's get to Chris's question. Rev, I'm curious about your definition of angels. Ex-messenger, envoy, those from above.
Well, yeah, those examples, they're messengers. I think in Hebrew it's malek, M-A-L-E-K. They're envoys. They're messengers. Here, I want you to run down the street and tell Dave to do blah 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 blah. That you're a messenger. You deliver it and you come back. Don't stay too long. Just do it and come back. Yeah. Melech is messenger. That's why you need the Hebrew Bible, because a lot of this stuff is written in Hebrew. But that's what they are. They're messengers. We would call them envoys, envoys. Yeah. They're messengers.
Let's continue on. Let's continue on here, because you yourself have had interaction. Have any of your extraterrestrial interactions led to conversations with these beings? And if so, what have they told you?
The answer to the first question is no. They've shown me, like they showed me a past life when I was a Catholic monk. They showed me a future time that happened. I had a lovely 3-piece suit on that I happen to have back there now, and I was speaking in a church. This was years before it actually happened. No messages, except that my life changed, that I started evolving. I worked at it. It wasn't like they waved a wand, but I started to evolve. A caterpillar became a butterfly. And I credit that with me and with them. Had a dream early on. I was in a scout craft with a gray. But for some reason, it felt like I was in a car. And the brother was driving, and I was in the back. And all of a sudden, he stopped the ship, and he said, "You get up front." I said, "Nah, I don't know how to do this." He said, "Get up front." I did. And we kept going forward. For me, that dream meant it was good that we were going forward, not backwards. You're in charge of your life, not us. Not us. That was empowering. Because it's easy to give your power away to entities or to people that you think are more smarter than you, more intelligent, more loving. But no, I'm in charge of my life, just like you are. And that was a powerful message. I had to own that. I'm in charge of my life. I leave here tomorrow. I got to go to work. I got to pay my rent. I got to deal with my ex, with child support. I got my life. Life is messy. I got to do Christmas shopping. I got allergies. I'm thinking about getting married for a third time. You know what I mean? Life is messy, but it's my life, and I'm in charge of it. And it's very easy to give it away to beings, to entities, to whatever. And so that's the message. And I say again, you don't have to become a deeply spiritual person. Well, you already are because of this. This was icing on the cake. But don't confuse the spiritual path with this. It's not. It's not. These are just things that happened along the way. Because otherwise you get caught up in the sensation. It's the ego. You get caught up in the sensationalism. You get caught up in, well, I'm an experiencer and you're not, and I'm this and you're not. That's exactly what the spiritual path doesn't want you to do. So I'll leave it at that. Because we live in celebrity culture, and we make celebrities out of everything and everybody. I get attention now because of my work, but I didn't seek this out. I did not seek this out. But I see the through line. I used to be an actor in New York. Okay, I had my 15 minutes of fame. I get a little pension. And then I said, I can't do this anymore. I want to serve. And now the very thing that I said I didn't want to do, I wind up talking on Ancient Aliens on TV. I wind up standing up on a stage talking to people about this. I wind up having my own church. It's theater in a way, but there's a context. How do I share love? How do I share wisdom and knowledge? So I'm using those skills. The universe is intelligent, because if it left up to me, I probably would have done something stupid. And I'm not being self-deprecating. I'm just saying the ego is a funny thing.
Okay. So with the ego being a funny thing and us looking at everything through human eyes rather than our spiritual eyes, how can we define what is right and what is wrong when it comes to ET contact and the purpose of it?
There are a lot of variables. I think, again, it's how you live your life afterwards. When Jesus said, by their fruits you shall know them, that was profound wisdom. It was simple. You don't go by what I say, you go by what I do. You go, I know people who are in church every Wednesday at Bible study. I know people who are in the shul on Friday, that they're in the temple, they're in the mosque, and they're the most hateful people you could ever be around. But they're doing all the outward stuff. I've had people who don't believe in a God treat me better than people who say they do. But I'll know what you believe by how you treat me, how you treat other sentient beings, and how you treat the earth. It's that simple. Trust yourself to know. Because discernment is a spirit. How do you know when people? How many times have you met people? I shouldn't have got to know that person. They did this, they did that. You make mistakes. You learn. You grow. And sometimes you meet people right away. Boy, I just feel that energy from you. And some people, you shake their hands and you go, I should count my fingers when I pull it back. I mean, trust yourself. Trust yourself. By their fruit, you'll know them. Don't go by what I say, go by what I do. Kids do it. That's how you know. It's no mystery. By their fruits, you shall know them. Sometimes you get God, because some people are really good being deceptive. So what? We all get God. Sometimes you're the fly, sometimes you're the windshield. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. We always get God. But basically, your parents did right. They taught you some things.
That makes sense. That makes complete sense. All right, let's go to our friend Eugene here, who is asking, what is the agenda of the aliens regarding humans? What is their end game?
I have no idea, because there's so many species. And when you say the aliens, who are you talking about? Reptilians, Arcturians, Greys, several species of them. You can't lump them all in. We do that with each other. We do that with races. It's not good to do. And other than that, I don't know. If I know that, I'd have the Nobel Prize. I split the money. I don't know. I know what my end game is to grow spiritually and love my neighbor. That's the end game. That's what I'm here to do. Hopefully that's your end game. There's some things we don't have to know. The government doesn't even know it. I mean, that's low-hanging fruit, but you get my point. So I don't know. I don't know, because there's so many races that are visiting us, so many species, but I know my end game is to learn to love and to grow and to share that. You can't beat it with a stick. And I do know some of the races that I've seen, that's what they want. They'd like to see us do before we blow ourselves up.
We've got about 2 minutes to go here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Reverend Michael Carter is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You said earlier, and we're going to continue this in the next half hour, that you are still in contact with these extraterrestrial species. How often are you having contact?
Sometimes there are years in between. Remember at the beginning of the show, a couple hours ago, I was having it twice a month. And then some years went by. Well, I'm talking about not if I had them in a dream or whatever, where I actually saw them or they touched me. The last contact I had where the person was in my room was this person. That was in 2019 after I came. A psychic told me it was going to happen. I didn't believe him, but that would happen. And the other night I had a strange experience while meditating. I talked to my pendulum. My pendulum said it was them. I was meditating, and I just bought a new crystal. It's a piece of moldavite, which is a meteor, and a piece of sugilite, which is a channeling stone. And I went to meditate, and I had so much energy, I thought I was going to jump out this window. It just came. I kept hyperventilating. I even started writing, and that went on for about 10 minutes. This was like maybe 4 or 5 days ago. And it felt like a visitation, but I didn't see anybody. So I went to the pendulum. I reluctantly, sometimes I don't believe it, but so I said, was this one of my friends who came? And it went, so, but as far as seeing them, Dave, the last one was 2019 when I got back from Nashville from a conference there. Pre-COVID.
Do you think they take time outs? We got 20 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, for me, very quickly, when I was sexing and drugging and rock and rolling in New York as an actor, and my life was going in a very different way. And then when they came, it kind of straightened me up, made me reevaluate. They didn't tell me to do anything, but my life changed. They were probably saying, this is not what you signed up for. You can do it. But yeah.
Right. All right, my friend, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we got Reverend Michael Carter till the bottom of the hour. Then in hour 3, we got a little bit of breaking news from the U.S. Congress about UFOs. We're going to get into that, more of Shirky Poo's Newswire, when we return on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers.
All right,
this
my
is John
friend,
Resnick.
we are clear. I'm just going to put your mic on mute here for a minute. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, I may do the same.
We got about 6 minutes. Be right back, guys. Sorry about that, boss. We've got about 90 seconds. There you go. All right. Quickly before I ask it, Ange in Australia is asking if you are familiar with J.J. Hurtak's teachings.
I'm familiar with him, but not his teachings.
Okay. I just wanted to ask. Hi, gorgeous D. Swiger. How are you? Welcome to the show. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Mad Kiwi Racing, you are very welcome for our archives being free. They will always be free as long as I have something to say about it. And we'll kick things off with Alien Believers here. And I'm a little behind in the chat room, guys, by a few minutes, so I will catch up if I haven't got to your question yet. All right. Well, now I am caught up. That's the last question that we have. Thank you to all of our super chatters tonight. Really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody tuning in. If you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. We are here 7 days a week for your listening pleasure. Don't forget, Lynn Wallington this weekend starts at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then after that is the debut of SOR After Hours. Here we go, everyone. Hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Just go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. The only thing I ask for in return is hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And what do we got for you? We got, let's see here, Wanian. Wanian is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, Reverend Michael Carter is with us. He's an author. He's an ET experiencer, runs his own church in North Carolina. You can find all of his books by going to either Amazon or on Barnes & Noble, which we really do appreciate. And it's a heavy conversation tonight. One of the best I think we've ever had here on Spaced Out Radio regarding the topic of ETs, UFOs versus the Bible and religion. Reverend Michael, welcome back.
Oh, I got a lot of energy, man. I may just stay up the rest of the night. I can go to work from here. I'll go to sleep when I get to the church. I feel good. Right. This is uplifting.
Well, I'm glad that you feel that way, my friend, because this has been a very powerful night of radio for us in explaining this, because there is a real sense of humanity that kind of goes along with it. This leads to Alien Believers' question. How do you find out what they are here for?
Okay, talking about them.
Yes.
Okay, about the star folks. You know, I just read... After I had my contacts, I just read everything I could on the phenomenon. And I spent time alone because I had to translate that into what I was here for. So I recommend my books. I know it's shameless self-promotion, but you will, all of them, because I've written books that are not on extraterrestrials. I've written 3 books on that, but 2 books on spirituality, one on prayer and healing, and one is a meditation camp. I would read John Max, any of the late John Max books. I would read any of the philosopher William James, who talks about the variety of religious experience. And you can email me, and I can suggest some other books. But remember, the journey that the ones I've met, they want you to go on that journey. And the longest journey you'll ever take is from here to here. It's an inner journey. That's the longest place you'll go, from your head to your heart. This is not going to take you there. It won't. This will. You need both. I hope that helps you. Again, email me. But that's what I did. I read a lot anyway. But I read a lot of religion and philosophy. But you can read books on them, but you want to switch that to go, what am I here for? They know what they're here for. The question is, what are you here for?
That is a deep, deep, profound question, my friend. How do we know, though? How do we find that answer? Is it within ourselves, or
yes,
yes. We're always looking everywhere else but inward?
Yeah, and that's the problem. Religion does that. It's you see these commercials. I watch a lot of football. God forbid I go out there and play it. When I did as a kid, you see these bodies gleaming, sweating, muscles. Take the Gatorade. Well, you need to exercise your inner life. If we spend as much time at the gym, and I go to the gym, don't get me wrong, but your inner life needs exercise too, and that's meditation. That's prayer, if you're comfortable with it. That's quiet time and solitude. That's how you get these answers. That's how you get the answers. And that takes discipline and time. But aren't you worth it? You're worth it. You're worth 5-10 minutes each day, in the morning and the evening, to be quiet. You're worth that. Much more than that. But that's where the answers come, in the quiet. Be still and know. That Buddhists, that's all they do is meditate. Because you can't feel who you are in our culture, because we're running, we're doing, we're going to soccer, you're a human being, not a human doing. And so the more you can't heal being by doing, you have to just be and feel the pain, feel whatever it is you need to feel. But when you're constantly doing, you don't know who you are, because you're being so many things to so many other people. What can we do to help the extraterrestrials' effort to better humanity? Everything I just told you. To find out who you are, to learn to love, to learn to look at life as an adventure, as a journey. Because you don't die. This dies, but your consciousness goes on. Change your consciousness. Because they watch. They see what we do to this planet. They're baffled. What a beautiful planet you have. And you're fracking, and you're polluting, and you're killing each other. The number of UFO sightings increased after we split the atom over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I'm not going to go into was that a war crime or not, but they were civilian cities. We split the atom, and after we did it once, no one had the sanity to say, "What have we did it again?" And they said, some of them, we got some neighbors down the street here who are dangerous. Because when you split the atom, it affects not only our reality, but other dimensions. We have the technology, but we don't have the spirituality to go with it. That makes us dangerous. We build weapons. We build weapons, man. We could use that technology for other things, but we build weapons. We spend more money on defense than any nation on the planet. So, find out who you are, why you're here, or we want to put it in biblical terms, seek ye first the kingdom, and everything else will be added unto you. That kingdom within you. Look for that, expand that, navigate that, negotiate that, and all this other stuff will come to you. Psychic abilities, healing abilities. You may see a ghost or two. Some of you see them already. You may see an extraterrestrial. You may see other beings in other dimensions. We're magnets. You attract what you are. You want to be a kinder world? Be more kind.
Where do
You
you
want
think
to have more positive experiences? Be more positive. You know where I'm going with it.
absolutely? Where do you think the beings are coming from? Are they coming from outer space? Are they coming from different dimensions? Are they coming
Yes,
from the future?
I think they're coming from everywhere. I mean, they're beings who can get to you without a ship. You know what I mean? The people we're talking about, they travel in ships. There's some people that don't even need a ship. That's how advanced they are. That's how their consciousness is. So I think they're coming from everywhere. And that's why it's so confusing to people. But it's also the universe is teeming with life. And if you're coming from this Newtonian physics or this biblical thing where we're as good as it gets, that train has left the station. That
All
train
right.
has left the station.
Let us ask another question. This one from Chris. What is your favorite ET misinterpretation in the Bible?
Probably the life of Jesus. The life of Jesus. We've made Jesus a rock star because it's easier to make him a rock star than to follow his teachings. Just look at the world. Look at what passes for Christianity today. There's a reason people say, I'm not a Christian. I can't be a Christian. Some people, I used to be one of them, say, I'm not a Christian. I'm a follower of the teachings of Jesus. Very different thing. Jesus wasn't a Christian. Paul started Christianity. Jesus was a Jew. Religiously. He came down in that background. Now, yes, he was a hybrid, I think, but he followed that was the cultural context in which he was born. He would not recognize what passes for Christianity and Judaism today. Muhammad wouldn't recognize Islam. Buddha wouldn't, to some degree, would not recognize. This is maybe not what I had in mind. We think justice is revenge. We know nothing about mercy. We're still in that Old Testament eye for an eye phase. We're like teenagers collectively, but we think we're not. That makes us dangerous. We think we're not. We're warlike.
Go ahead, please.
No, we're warlike. It's a hot mess, baby. But there are people like you and David. And I like to think me on my good days that we try to raise the vibration. We don't have to be perfect. There are people asking questions, trying to work through their fear. It's not going to be on Fox, not going to be on MSNBC, not going to be on CNN. It's bigger than that. And if you wait for them to tell you, good luck. But there are good people out here, and they are trying to do the best they can.
What do you think?
You're asked to do.
What do you think about situations like we hear about terms like the Galactic Federation?
Yes. I've heard of that. I think that's real. I think there is I don't have no proof, but I'm sure because, in some ways, I mean, all civilized people have that. And these people, a lot of them are very civilized civilizations. I think there is a galactic federation of planets. The United Nations was supposed to serve that here as far as Earth. And I think in some ways there's a prime directive that we don't meddle in the affairs of other nations and planets. Now, I'm sure there's exceptions to that. Rules are broken. I'm sure we've been meddled with for probably positive purposes and maybe not so positive. But, we have to clean up the mess we made. No one's going to come and save us. Now, for my devout Christian friends, maybe you think Jesus is going to do that. Okay. But for the most part, we have to clean up our own mess. When my daughter doesn't clean up her room, when she does something, for me to get the lesson to her, this is the consequence of your action. If I come in and save you, you don't learn the lesson. So some things I will let you go through. That's what grown-ups do. We clean up our own mess. We don't wait for someone else to do it. Why did God let this happen? God didn't let it happen. Most of this stuff we've done. But we don't want to take responsibility. Mature people, mature souls, evolved souls take responsibility. That's the end of the story.
It's a powerful story.
Yeah.
Joaquin is asking, if religion isn't good, why do you call yourself a reverend? It's a religious connotation.
It is, brother. And I didn't say religion wasn't good. I said religion made mistakes. I said religion taught a lot of fear. That's number one. So I want to be clear. I didn't say religion isn't good. Secondly, I'm a reverend because I went through the training and that was my calling. I may not be the type of reverend for you, but I am a minister. I have degrees. I serve. I help. I heal. Now, I may not be your type of reverend, but I am. And I didn't say religion was bad. Religion has made a lot of mistakes. Religions are made by humans. I hope that cleared that up.
And I think, too, that's why we see a lot of the younger generation. Like, I look at my children. My children are spread out because we're a blended family. I have a 22-year-old, I have an 18-year-old, and I have an 8-year-old. And I look at them, especially my two older daughters, and I think they have a lot of spiritual belief in them. Yet, I think we're seeing in a lot of younger generations, especially right to children who are being born this moment, that they are off to find their own spiritual path rather than to find a religious path. You know, we're seeing a lot more children who are indigos. We're seeing a lot more light beings. We're seeing a lot more spiritually advanced. We're seeing it's not that there isn't a belief in God. It's more that they want to find themselves within that spirituality. And I really do believe deep down that that's maybe why extraterrestrials are not coming here as of yet, because they are waiting for a lot of these younger generations to mature, so that way they can be easier to process what is coming for the future of enlightenment. Is that a wrong statement, or is that?
I can't say what's right or wrong, Dave, and I'm not trying to be obtuse or trying to be cute. Only you can know that. But I mean, what about some of these beings may have already signed contracts before they got here? I would say, and extraterrestrials are coming here. Listen, one of the things that got me, someone asked me about one of the extraterrestrial mistake. I said the interpretations of Jesus, some of his teachings. The other thing, though, is because somebody said something 5,000 years ago doesn't mean that it works now. And so a lot of times religion says, well, Moses said that, and Moses talked about having slaves. Yahweh talked about dashing babies' heads against stones. That's barbaric. We don't do that anymore. And that's why people leave religion sometimes. They're saying that doesn't apply now. That may have worked then, but that doesn't apply now. And the church doesn't update its teachings. The church doesn't do that. And so people are saying that doesn't resonate with me. So as we evolve, when we're a kid, we look at God as Santa Claus. As we get older, some of us say that doesn't work for me if I'm naughty or nice. I'm rewarded. Sometimes it says, wait a minute, I'm part of all that is. I'm connected to that tree out there. I'm connected to this human being. What I do to that tree, what I do to this planet, I do to myself. That's more evolved. Science and religion are starting to merge. Quantum physics is starting to learn what avatars and prophets and stuff were saying a long time ago. And so we evolve. If we're going into the 21st century and you're still stuck in a paradigm of 8th century BCE, something hasn't grown. Something hasn't grown. And that's all we're saying. And if that doesn't work for you, that's okay. Just don't give me grief over it. Because we don't have to think alike to love alike. If I want to climb a mountain, I want to get to Canada. So I may fly, someone may walk, someone may hitchhike, someone may swim. It's okay. We're still going to Canada. We're just taking different ways. But if you're going to be a control freak because I'm not doing it the way you think, that's why we have the problems on the earth. And then you go back to a book that was written and pieced together and this is and taken out and whatever. Well, this said this. People said the earth was created in 6 days. We know that didn't happen. So you kind of evolve with the time. There's some things that are going to be wrong that were wrong 5,000 years ago, and they'll be wrong 5,000 years from now. You don't murder. You don't steal. You don't screw your neighbor's dog. You don't do your wife. You don't do that. Okay, those are things we kind of agree on. But I don't want to live in a place where it's Sharia law and you cut off someone's hand because they stole a piece of bread. That's barbaric. But I can go back to a book and say, well, we did this 3,000 years ago. That was 3,000 years ago. Hopefully we've evolved. And that's what religion has to do if they want to keep people coming to the churches. It's got to be a different message, a message that resonates for now. And again, for those people that it doesn't work for, it's okay. I don't have to be right. That was one of my great spiritual lessons. I have lost the need to have to be right. If what I say doesn't work for you, don't buy the books. Don't see the shows I'm on. That's okay. And that I got no dog in the hunt. My message is for people who it resonates with, like Jesus's message, like Muhammad's message, like anybody's message. You throw the seeds out there. Some seeds are going to fall on barren land. Some seeds are going to fall on rich land. It's okay. Because we're all trying to make the world a better place, I would like to think, just doing it in our own way.
I understand that. We got 90 seconds left. That's it. Do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find your books and your information.
Okay, you can go to Barnes & Nobles or Amazon. You can get me on michaeljscarter@gmail.com. I have 2 sites on Facebook. One is a fan page, Reverend Michael J.S. Carter, and one is just Michael Carter. Either way, you can contact me there. I'm on Messenger. And I just want to say wonderful questions from the audience and wonderful questions from Dave. And I hope we can do it again soon. I wish everybody a merry everything and a happy always.
Always, my friend. I really do appreciate you coming on in, Reverend Michael Carter. What an impactful show that this was tonight. I really do appreciate learning from you and the different side of religion, God versus UFOs and extraterrestrial contact. What a great man. I cannot wait to bring you back.
I can't wait to come back. Just stay safe. Oh, well, you'll send me a link. I want to share this with my friends. You can send me an email link. Yeah, I can put it on the email and send it out. And I thank you, brother. And keep the faith.
You too, my friend. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk some UFOs. We got some big news kind of coming on in here. And we got Shirky Poo's Newswire, Thought of the Day, all coming up here next on Spaced Out Radio. Great job tonight, Wrenches. Great job. Thomas Fessler, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Checking things out here. See where we are. Hey Thomas, you want to join me for the next quick section? Quick section. I'll send you a link here to your Facebook because I would like to actually ask you. I believe you covered this earlier. Where are you here? If you want to join me, you're more than welcome. If not, I'll do it myself. Hey, Chad, easy on the 300 seconds, dude. Just blank the comments. They're allowed to speak, man. Good job, though. The gorgeous Amber's Paraworld. How are you? Nice to see you. Yeah, this was a good show. It's all good. We got a good night going. Look, this is a topic, guys. Tonight's topic was one that we knew would fire a lot of people up. And there's a lot of people who are going to disagree and get their emotions involved. We just have to make sure that everything is done with a little bit of amount of respect to the guest who gave us his time. Flash forward. How you doing? Eddie, what's happening? That's all it is. People are allowed to say what they want and everything. And you know what? It's going to cause a lot of stir. Gong Show, you're going too far right now. Just telling you, you're going too far. Okay, you're at about a 9 right now, Gong Show. I need you back down at a 3 or 4. All right? Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
That's some good Canadian plaid you got going on.
Oh, yeah, Costco plaid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not usually wearing the usual stuff. This is what I kind of usually when I'm kicking back and relaxing in the
Nice.
recliner and
Nice. I didn't take you away from hubby or anything, did I?
Oh no, not at all. He's upstairs playing video games.
All right, cool. Just making sure.
Oh yeah.
The dog
Thanks
okay?
for asking. Yeah, she's there laying down.
Right on, bud.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
No
Little
problem.
17-year-old girl, but you got to take care of her.
She's beautiful. She's beautiful.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So interesting day today, huh?
Yeah, man. It was a
Yeah.
good day. It was a good day. Great show. Hi, Unbiased Eye with Mr. Raimondi. How are you? Well, that's Anthony. Hey, Anthony, other profile. Don't forget to hit subscribe with your second profile. Here we go, everyone. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Let's get to Shirky Poo's news, shall we? We're kicking off early tonight on Shirky Poo's Newswire, and we got our good friend Thomas Fessler here from Disclosure Tonight on his YouTube channel. You definitely want to check this out. Thomas, the reason why I bring you in here tonight is there was an incredible story regarding Douglas Johnson, who wrote this. Douglas Dean Johnson, Dean Johnson on Twitter, if you want to follow him, regarding Congress appearing poised to enact legislation that would command the military and intelligence agencies to get a grip on UAP and authorizes the resources required. Now, this broke earlier today regarding this subject after a lot of debate and stirring as to whether or not there was going to be a stall on this entire project. Now, I know you've been following this story quite a bit, my friend. What was your take on the latest news?
It's nice, as I called it for the title of my show tonight was UAP wars, Congress strikes back. I mean, we're basically looking at the House and the Senate in the United States Congress going ahead and telling the deep state, because that's exactly who it is, if you want to call it a fourth branch of the United States government, who's been running unchecked financially, doing what they want with the UAP, if you want to call it non-human intelligence situation, for over 70 years. And they've basically given them their orders, and it's no longer keeping it secret, no longer keeping Congress in the dark, no longer keeping the American people or the world in the dark, for that matter. When John Kirby had said earlier this week that we're not going to have a regular beat of information that's coming out and the Pentagon isn't going to do it, well, they don't have a choice at this point. And if they don't follow through, this is basically law. And if they don't want to follow through what Congress is giving them, they'll go to jail. Simple enough.
This is some serious accusations and a real war of words between the military-industrial complex and elected officials. This is something that, if this was happening on any other subject other than UFOs, this would be world news. World news, Thomas. Yeah. And yet we're not seeing it on the major broadcasts. We're not seeing it elsewhere. But, I mean, to be expected, because it is about UFOs. But, yeah. I mean, this is scary stuff here, man.
This is the
I don't
deep
want
state, flat out. You know, I mean, you're saying it's scary and everything. This is what people have been talking about, everything, for the longest time. I mean, this part of the government's been running unchecked for way too long, and yeah, it is scary, kind of a thing. But it's there. It happened. It was passed in the House today, waiting for it to go through the Senate, and holy cow. I mean, the language is there. It's bipartisan, coming together, Congress and actually both sides. You have the House and the Senate actually working together, both sides of the fence, to say, yes, we want this. It's everything that we all wanted for a long time.
Why has this all of a sudden become a very hot button issue as to why this fight is occurring? I mean, we can only speculate right now, Thomas, but I mean, the gloves are off. They're at
Mm.
center ice. I'm going to use a hockey terminology here. And now that you have a hockey team in Seattle with the Kraken, we can actually do that now.
Yeah.
Okay. So you might as well get indoctrinated on this show.
Oh, I'm
All
from
right.
Chicago, where we have the Hawks, and I can go put on a Hawks jersey right now if I wanted to.
Oh, that is still the nicest jersey in the
Yeah.
NHL, by the way.
Yeah.
It really is. But what I'm saying is the gloves are off. They're at center ice, and punches are starting to be thrown here. What do you expect from the alphabet agencies, the Pentagon, and the Armed Forces Committee to do about this? I mean,
They
they
don't.
basically got slapped by their elected officials.
Yeah, and every single three-letter agency, every single part of the Pentagon, the federal government, is all basically at the whim of this particular agency. I mean, they have to go ahead and deploy and be ready at a drop of a notice to go ahead and then do proper field investigations on this when stuff is still going on. If there's repeat sightings or different things that are happening, this is actually a serious movement, and the government, the DoD, has to report everything. It's not just the number of the cases, the specifics about every single case, all the details. All the stuff has to be reported. And there's two words that can explain why this happened: Elizondo and Mellon. They must have been doing some heavy duty lobbying to really get the point across, and probably the unidentified celebrity review with their big phone home. It made a difference.
No, it's very much in tune. I mean, I just can't believe the politicians coming together over UFOs. Look, the rest of the country and the rest of the world has this picture of UFOs in a side story. It's still a sidebar story. All right. In Canada, our government isn't even talking about it publicly.
Yeah.
All right. Many other countries are like that as well. They tried to talk about it in the UK. That got shot down. All right. And
Yeah, wasn't it the story that was just from that they've been talking about in the United Kingdom forever, that Nick Pope had seen, that they were going to lock it up for another 55 years?
Oh, it's all over the place. It's a mess over there. The opposition went into the House of Lords a couple of months ago and said, look, this is happening to our allies. What do we know about UAP here? And the defense minister stood up and said, we're not talking about it. We're not talking. There's nothing there. We're not talking about it. It's a waste of time. We're not talking about it. I mean, that's exactly what we are getting out of the United Kingdom. And,
Well, maybe the House of Lords needs to grow a pair and take back control of the Ministry of Defense like we're doing here in the United States.
No, I fully understand that. I fully understand that. So, I mean, the key to that I'm trying to figure out here is what happens next year, Thomas, because we are seeing something unprecedented here.
Well, there's going to be yearly reports. October 31st, at the absolute latest, is when the first report has to be in. And everything that's been reported up until that point and before is complete fair game. Congress itself is going to get reports every 90 days, whether the DoD or any of the three-letter agencies, any of them, they have no choice.
What happens if the military or the Pentagon or even the Joint Chiefs of Staff refuse to participate in this, saying out of national security, we can't? Because I can see a major lawsuit, going into the Supreme Court of the United States over this.
Yeah, and if it does, they're going to lose. They've been locking everything up. Susan Go has been going. I mean, when we heard let me get back to it. When we actually heard about John Kirby saying, here's all the stuff we're going to give, all the different information. But what it really comes down to is we're not going to let any information out because it could become it's a matter of national security. And that's the exact same BS line that Susan Go has been giving off for a while with regards to any of the requests about everything. And some stuff may not even be top secret, but they're considering it a matter of national security and they don't want to release anything. What national security? It's not.
I'm going to read this for our audience here, and then I would like your reaction to it. In D.D. Johnson's article, he says the measure incorporates a robust array of statutory provisions, in essence, commanding the Department of Defense and the intelligence community to substantially elevate the priority, coordination, and resources that they devote to investigations of unidentified aerial phenomena. The legislation describes the overarching mission in unmistakable terms, but also provides detailed mandates and funding authorities to advance UAP investigations and provisions to require a measure of periodic partial public disclosure of future findings. This negotiated NDAA proposal has been packed into the shell of a numbered bill that has already passed the Senate, which may simplify the procedural steps in the Senate. Even so, a round or two of legislative ping pong might occur as the Senate and the House work out the few remaining issues unrelated to UAP. It is not likely that the UAP language would be altered during such ping pong. Congress has enacted an NDAA for the past 60 consecutive years. I think it is likely that this NDAA, with its historic UAP related provisions, will become law before Christmas. The new negotiated NDAA contains most but not all of the major components of the Gillibrand-Rubio amendment. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat from New York, who sits on both the Armed Services and Intelligence Committees, introduced her amendment on November 4th, 2021. Since then, I have, as in D. Dean Johnson, have frequently reported on legislative developments pertaining to the proposal via his Twitter account, @D. Dean Johnson. Gillibrand's amendment was quickly co-sponsored by Senator Marco Rubio, well known in ufological circles for a number of past actions and strongly worded public statements about UAP beginning in 2020. I mean, this sounds like these senators and congressmen like Tim Burchett are really stunned and almost mortified to find out this entire hidden secret of the military regarding UFOs. And they shouldn't be stunned, yet that's what the legislation says.
Yeah. What the legislation is there? It is a combination of the initial Gallego or Gallego amendment that was put together by the representative from Arizona. We have the stuff that was added by Gillibrand, brought into it. Both parts of the bills were there. The only part that wasn't kept along was the actual ability to have an external oversight committee of citizens and scientists and everything. And that would, for the most part, was put aside. And although they're going to involve some people from science, they do have to maintain the proper security clearances for some of the information, of course, that they're going to have access to. So it's not like it's going to be wide open, available, that information that anybody's going to be able to go ahead and see. But it's definitely an opportunity to where a lot more than was going to be there is going to be there. I mean, the language, I think it was like 14 pages of it or so we went through tonight on the show, and the article was well written, but it was great being able to get into and actually go through every single major point of this, even actually every single line of this amendment. And it's pretty powerful legislation.
Okay, one final question for you, or a couple questions for you here before we let you go. How much of the freedom is the public going to have in seeing these reports?
Well, there's going to be a yearly unclassified report that'll come out that they're going to have to release all their information on. That can have sightings to, if you want to call it, classified documents without some of the classified information coming out. The biggest part is Congress is going to get everything, that they're going to see what's actually going in. There's actually going to be transparency and oversight. So the biggest part is we're going to get a lot more than we got last June 26th. There's going to be a regular beat of information coming out to the public, regular updates, whether it's new information that they're coming and that has been reported, and all the old legacy information. Let's take it back to Roswell, that even Lou Elizondo was brought up, that's going to become available. So we have a history of a bunch of stuff to go in the past, and we have the current and the present going future. It's an exciting time.
It is an exciting time, but will the public continue to be screwed? out of this? Because look,
No.
we know. So you have confidence then that we're going to get the goods of what is currently happening.
Yes.
Because in the end, the US government could still hide behind national security to keep a lot of these subjects, whether it's crash retrievals, whether it's, major sightings at airports like Chicago O'Hare or elsewhere, anything that is considered national security, they're still going to erase.
Yeah, they can erase it as much as they want, but it's a start. It's a lot more information than we've been getting in the past, and it's you can always look a gift horse in the mouth, I guess is the old saying, is you can always try to look at something and you can take the negative aspect of it. I see it as is this more than we got last year? Yeah. Is it more than we had 2 years ago, 5 years ago? Absolutely. So I don't think there was anything in standing out there. I mean, come on, even had John Greenwald, who was going and trying to praise the documentation of what the military had put out from the Department of Defense. And I didn't like it at all. He liked it. Personally, I think this gives us the oversight, the transparency, the involvement from the actual legislative branch over this deep state part of the government that has been running unchecked for 75 years. And they're not going to like it. Maybe we'll get some good resignations coming out of there because they know their days are going to be numbered. But there's there's a lot of policy. There's a lot of organization that they've got spelled out. There's a lot of authority and accountability that's in there that's never been there before.
All right. Thomas Fessler from the Disclosure Tonight on YouTube. There's youtube.com/Thomas Fessler. Get you right to his channel. And thank you so much for joining us and filling us in on this latest news, my friend.
Anytime, Dave. Thanks for having me.
All right. We're going to move on here on Spaced Out Radio with the news. Here's a scary one out of the U.S. All right. Let's say you go camping. This guy goes camping in Missouri and started encountering giant spiders. Giant spiders. How hideous is that? All right. Now, we're not talking a few inches inside. This fisherman's tale is believed to be like spiders the size of his head. His story is from this guy named Adam. He says, I'm from Joplin, Missouri. When I was a child, I was running around the backwoods of our 150 acres. I happened upon a tree, a large hole, and a huge single web. Not many little ones together, but one giant web connected to the tree to the ground hole. I thought maybe it's an armadillo. Well, I poked the web through the thin tree branch, and yep, the spider the size of my head came out. Says I fell on my butt trying to run the heck away. My mom didn't believe me until I showed her and my cousins. Yeah, so apparently now these giant spiders are bigger than the Texas brown tarantulas. I don't like this. All right. Obviously, now I'm just going to say right now, not going to Missouri if they've got spiders the size of my head. Imagine if they were the size of Fap's head. Holy cow.
Are they imported from Australia or something?
I don't know. Maybe some of those camel spiders out of the Middle Eastern desert that the soldiers had to fight with in their barracks. All right. A pilot believes he has seen an entire fleet of UFOs flying overseas after he spotted a series of weird lights that seemed to have moved and rotated. The man managed to capture a few seconds of video footage that is absolutely being ripped apart all over social media now. And in this clip, you see 3 rows of lights, some with 4 dots, some with 3. At one point, the highest dot fades and is replaced by another down low. Then eventually, they all seem to disappear from view. The pilot said he was flying over the Pacific Ocean at the time, had no idea what these lights could be other than a fleet of UFOs flying in formation. Pilot said they filmed it at about 39,000 feet. And of course, the twirls and the non-believers are all over this one saying fake. Yep, these are Chinese lanterns going up to 39,000 feet. Highly doubt that. Here's a weird one. Footage appearing to show a Bigfoot in the forest in the United States has left people intrigued, and experts are admitting that this is a possibility. It could be real. A video clip showing a large ape-like creature filmed through the tree line was posted on an Instagram account of Cryptid University, a profile dedicated to telling stories about Bigfoot and other cryptids. It appears to show a large black creature as it was filmed to be in the country forest of Georgia, somewhere in the southeastern part of the state. Initially, the unidentifiable creature appears to be crouching before standing up tall and revealing its enormous height. The footage is admittedly shaky, but it doesn't stop people from believing that this is real and admitting that they would be terrified to witness this. I say, hell no. Bring it on, Bigfoot. Let's get some of this happening in British Columbia, because old Davy needs another sighting. All right. Another weird one. All right. Mystery UFO sounds recorded from under a lake in the USA have sparked a bizarre alien-based conspiracy, but science may have some more mundane explanations of this Martian noise. Recordings taken from Steamboat Springs, Colorado, were recorded by an employee of the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Service December 4th. The staff member posted them to Twitter, which has subsequently been shared to UFO Sightings Daily, where they have described it as strange Star Wars-like sounds. Analyzed the audio, truth seeker Scott C. Waring said, white sphere UFOs have been recorded and eyewitnesses by thousands of residents of the area over the last few years. The signals point to there being an alien base deep down below the lake, which amplifies the sound below due to it being frozen. It acts like an amplifier. This is 100% proof, apparently, that we have aliens now in this lake in Colorado. My goodness. We got aliens everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. I want to say thank you to Thomas Fessler for coming on in from Disclosure Tonight. Thomas Fessler on YouTube. Check him on out and hit that subscribe button while you are there for breaking down the latest UFO news that happened. And of course, we say thank you to Reverend Michael Carter for coming on in, being an amazing guest tonight, breaking down UFOs, extraterrestrials, ET contact versus the Bible and religion. We really appreciated that very heartfelt and amazing discussion tonight. Wow. What an evening. Got the fluids going. I'm still awake. Maybe I'll have to listen to some Swamp Dweller later on tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. I see my man Quest right there, man, saying, that's right, that's ham and eggs there, Captain. Ham and frickin' eggs there, Captain. Get it on out. Take us home, you fat Canadian bastard. You know, I totally see that. Love it. Hold on. Yeah. How you doing, bud?
Good. Long day.
Oh, I tell you, I know. I literally sat at my daytime office today, and I was like, Why me today?
Yeah.
Why me? Why am I here?
Monday again for you?
2 in a row.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Tomorrow will be fun because Polly Poopy Pants returns.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, you never go wrong with little Polly Poopy Pants at my job.
I'm sitting at my desk that I do in the morning.
Well, yeah, you're working from home, right?
I've had to, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got the flu a year ago in March, and it turned my immune system against me, and we've never been able to shut it off yet.
Oh, goodness.
It's kind of based on kind of what the doctor said and research into it. I've got a kind of lymphocyte vasculitis. That's where my white blood cells are attacking the small blood vessels in my body. I can't go out in public. I have no immune system at this point. They've been giving me meds to shut it down.
Oh, damn it. That ain't good.
Oh, I know.
That's definitely worse than a bad case of gout, man.
Yeah, I haven't freaking gone out in public since beginning of the year. Almost 12 months.
My goodness.
Hey, but at least I got live streams going.
Well, that's the main thing. You got your live stream going, and at least you get to virtually talk to people.
Exactly.
And you got Triple Act in the background, and, well, that is British humor, so I do feel for you there. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Hi, David Brooks. How you doing? Who else showed up? Let's see here. There was a few others here. What was that, Acker?
I said I had that.
Shh. Ack is here. Ack is here. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate you jumping in.
Oh, not a problem. Well, after I had the show today, and I had a blast putting together the title page, just doing a playoff of The Empire Strikes Back, and it was just the more I got into it, the better. And honestly, I was looking at that article at first and going through it, but a lot of his stuff was just summarizing the law. And I'd rather just go through the law. And I really enjoy going through the stuff page by page with everyone on the stream and just going at and highlighting it one line at a time and just talking through it and making sure everybody understands every single part that's going into it. For me, it's really kind of enjoyable and exciting.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I just want to give a quick shout here. Excuse me, to the Prince of Park Avenue South, aka Tony Pizza. How you doing, man? You know what? You're cool, dude. We're all good. I don't think you're a troll. I think you just had a comment. We just this is the first time we've seen you in our chat room, and and the one thing that is really cool about my wrenches is they always have my back. And sometimes, I thought sometimes we kind of have some rules around here, just so you know, like it's very much okay and really cool to disagree with a guest or the host or whatever. But when my wrenches have kind of been instructed that if there's any personal attacks on the guest, like liar or fake or fraud or bullshit or con artist or whatever, that they kind of get rid of those type of comments. That's my rules on that, not theirs. So you know what? Let's just call it bygones, man. It's your first time here. We'd love to continue to have you coming on in and strolling around and hanging out with our show, man. That's the way we do it. That's the way your channel grows. That's the way my channel grows. And Thomas's channel here grows, and everybody who has one. So it's all cool on this end, man. All cool. And that's kind of how we do it. So other people may not agree. Other people may have different ways of doing it, but I don't think you were trolling at all. Not at all. And sometimes, the other shitty part about it is this whole texting format. Sometimes we don't say what we really mean on text because we can't formulate the words.
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time. So no big deal, dude. Thank you for tuning us in tonight, man, as well as the others.
Good call, because sometimes people will say one things and other people are reading it differently. It's just, written
Oh, yeah.
language is just so it's so many
Yeah.
ways you can look at the same thing.
Yeah. Guillermo, you got wrenched because you called me a lookalike to KFC's Colonel Sanders with my little chin hair beard here. No, teasing. Guillermo, I saw. I think you were an accidental wrench, Guillermo. I think you were an accidental wrench, to be honest. Sometimes that happens in the line of
Hey,
fire.
don't feel bad. Lou Elizondo's got that look, especially.
Oh, I know. Yes. This is my lunar eclipse, my LUENAR, lunar eclipse. All right. Yeah, and for the chat room, just remember, people, it's amazing what a comma or a period can do, or even quotation marks. See, Chad Smith confirms Guillermo was an accidental wrenching. I was just moving fast with my claws out. Yeah. It was a Chad Smithism, total Chad Smithism. We came, we found the culprit. Oh God, man, this whole UFO thing, dude, is it's getting crazy.
It's
It
about
really
time.
is.
It was crazy for a long time. Now it's actually getting real.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you on that, man. I just, man, I don't even know where to go with it right now. I mean, literally, there's only two stories right now that I'm interested in. And by the way, watching Danny Silva and Tim McMillan go at it on Twitter today was pretty good. That was a good, pushing and shoving match. That was
I'll have
nice.
to catch up on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There may have been a second wrencher there. So what else is up, man?
I don't know. We'll see. It happens tomorrow. Well, actually, one thing what's up today. It's interesting news. There was a $275 million or billion-dollar deal between China and Apple, where Apple was investing into China to make sure they had the world's most advanced manufacturing, training, all this other kinds of stuff going on, so they could, if you want to call it, get protections and preferential treatment inside of China. That's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Let's see if Tim Cook gets called up in front of Congress.
Especially with attention. That's kind of weird timing.
Yeah. Well, it's something inked back in 2016, and Tim Cook has always had China in his eye.
What do you think of sorry, who brought that up quickly here? Tony here bringing up what do you think of the cube on the moon?
I think China has the imagination that Bill Nelson and NASA lost a long time ago. There have been so many amazing things that they've seen in the pictures on Mars as they're going along. And does NASA stop and look at any of this stuff that looks like it could be any kind of, signs of prior life, prior civilization, habitation of the planet, any kind of artifacts that have gone out there? They've ignored absolutely everything. And they're just going to keep on just crunching along with their little robot and going and doing things. China sees something. Oh, look, it looks like a giant square thing out there. What the heck is this? And they freaking stop everything, turn, and they're going for it. It shows that, how much NASA in what they're even the NASA's talking points. I covered those last night. They want to look at everything that's out there, but they don't want to find too much. They don't want to find something that could be something to be dramatic. It's like they have these blinders on, and maybe that's just the way NASA's always been.
It pisses me off, dude. Not gonna lie, it pisses me off, especially when you see Bill Nelson standing in front of the podium saying extraterrestrials are here. I talked to the fighter pilots. How about your own closet? Have you checked your own closet, Bill? I did a whole rant on that here a few weeks ago.
Looking for the Amway products?
Maybe.
Oh, he just reminds me of an Amway salesman. Nothing against Amway, but unless you've ever had one come over to your house and stalk you before, you would know what I'm talking about.
No, I have not had the pleasure of that. I did one time have the Mormons come over.
Yeah.
And a couple of young Mormons, and I immediately got into the whole two things. I said, number one, how many wives am I allowed?
Yeah.
And I said, number two, what's your thoughts on extraterrestrials?
Yeah.
And I was only allowed one wife, and they didn't believe in extraterrestrials. And I said, well, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Are those the
Sorry.
young guys that ride around on bikes in the white shirts and the black pants?
Yes.
Yeah.
I tried really hard, man, but I couldn't convert. Those are two important topics in my life. So there you go.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I would just knock back. They come to your door and knock. I would sneak up to my door and I would knock back.
Oh, you got to play with them. Life is too short to be too. Well, yeah, I'm serious about not being serious, which I'm sure people have picked up on. But when it comes to UFOs, I'm serious about that. But having a good time while talking about it.
I did have a nice phone call from Canada Post today that an illegal package had where drugs were found in my package had an arrest warrant out for me, and I needed to contact the business office of the Canada Post to find out what was happening with me. And so I got transferred to Pakistan. Okay. And I said, hi, my name's Dave. And apparently I'm in trouble for a package that's coming my way. Guy took a breath and hung up on me. I'm like, come on. The longest I've been able to keep one of those phone calls on is 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I to do is say, hey, can you hold on for a second? And you take the phone, you set it down, you go walk away and you leave them there.
Oh, no. My boss is the guy I work for during the day. He's a really cool dude. And every time he gets a phone call, he runs into my office. This is the owner, the guy I work for. He's the owner and of the building. And so every time he gets a call, he runs into my office to see, and we see how long we could try and keep them on. And I got the record so far, about 20 minutes. I had them believing I had a bank account of $422,000. It was beautiful. And then I screwed up. I started laughing. The other day I got to the point of when they were saying this was a new one. This wasn't the Canada Revenue Agency. This was Canada Post again, just last week. I got to the point last week about 6 minutes in, and I panicked, and they said that in my package there were packages of cocaine, heroin, and hash in my package that was being sent to me. And that's why there was an arrest warrant. And so I said, hold on, what are you doing with my heroin? And I got too excited, man. I blew it right there. They immediately hung up. Like, I couldn't believe I did that. Like, it was such a rookie mistake. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying here, man. I'm trying, and I can't. They're hanging up. They're getting codgy. Thanks to all these YouTube channels that are busting them.
Yeah.
They're getting codgy and they're hanging up. They're like a timid animal now.
Yeah.
These call centers where they hang up at the stress of anything. And I think what it is you can't put them on speakerphone, because the minute they recognize they're on speakerphone, you're done. They're hanging up.
I had no idea you had that problem up there.
Almost every day I get a call right now. Almost every 2 days I get a call.
Not that often here. They made it illegal. And if you actually get solicitors who call you up and they don't have a prior pre-existing relationship where they actually know you from, they can't just do a cold call to you anymore. It's like big fines from the Federal Trade Commission they have going against them. It's wonderful.
Yeah, they haven't enacted anything like that up here. It's kind of cool. I just like wasting their time.
Yeah.
I really do. I enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, man. I mean,
yeah, they do it to everybody.
I know. So what's coming up on your show tomorrow, man?
Not sure. And depending on, I actually run the show by the cuff, pretty close to the edge. Trying to see where stuff is at. I mean, we're probably the only UFO live stream that actually covered this article today because it's something that hit, and you basically, that's why it's disclosure tonight. We're looking at what is the latest things that are happening in disclosure, bringing them together, and then having a good panel to get in there and talk about it.
Yeah, you had some good facial hair going on the panel tonight. Solid facial hair.
Yeah.
All high and tight, trim, proper. It was good.
Yeah. Nothing big and bushy.
I know. Oh, dude, I screwed up big time yesterday with mine. Don't even talk to me about that right now.
I bring it up. I was just mentioning to you, yeah, you need to go ahead and trim yours. I had no idea you even trimmed it. Then I go on the show that night, and it's like, oh, crap. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, how pretty is that? Holy cow. Now we really understand why Dave says he has a face for radio. What a jerk you are.
It's not like you have to cover half your head with a hat to hide your face.
Hey, we're supposed to be in cahoots here. You're supposed to be supporting me here instead of calling me a face for radio.
No, you're the one who called yourself a face for radio.
Next, he'll tell me I got a voice for print.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I know print. The old days. I still have a laser printer at the house, maybe actually 2.
They still exist?
Yeah. It's better than inkjets.
True.
They don't clog.
I don't know. I just hit print, man. I don't even have a printer in the studio here.
Mm-hmm.
No. I just go to work and print it there if I need anything. It's funny, like my boss came up to me one day and I was printing out the DNI report that came out in June, into June there. He's like, what are you printing out? I told him, he goes, print me a copy. So I printed him out a copy too.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. It's really weird.
That day, yeah.
Remember that day was supposed to be so exciting?
Yeah. As soon as the PDF hit, I started a live stream. And actually, the person who watched that live stream is my producer in the back, Gary.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't sleep.
No, he's on a different schedule than UK time. That's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
He gets up, what, 2?
Did you nearly say UAP time? I'm on UAP time.
What the hell is UAP time? Is that like some Deutsche Bank thing? UAP time?
No, it means that like I'm awake while there's aliens, and then I go to sleep when there isn't.
Much like Jonathan Davies.
I think he gets up like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, UK time.
Yeah, then I walk around. I do an impression of Ripley from Aliens. I shout at people saying, "Those things killed my crew," and then I sit down, vape, and then relax.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Mm-hmm. So you're pretty much sleeping during the day.
Yeah. I've always been a night person anyway. You can blame Art Bell for that.
Very nice. Very nice. That is awesome. Yeah, you can blame Art Bell for a lot of stuff.
But Heather for more.
That's where you get your thunderclap from.
That is the only
It is.
thing we do in tribute.
Mm-hmm.
That the reason why we do that is to pay homage to know where we came from. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, like I say to a lot of people, and a lot of people have asked me this, and I always say this, man. You know, the problem with paranormal radio and what we're doing, because it's all paranormal, is if you look at sports, it took like 2,000 years of boxing before we got Muhammad Ali. It took like 50 years of basketball before we got Michael Jordan. It took 70 years of hockey before we got Wayne Gretzky. And the problem with paranormal radio is the best came first.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the biggest problem that we have. And by mile high standards. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. And it sucks because if you try and do a show like mine or Jimmy's or whoever, or even George Norrie, for instance, gets, oh, well, you guys are just imitating Art Bell. Well, no, we're our own people. There's other people in this world who have interest in these topics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, nobody will ever fill the shoes of the greatest. Nobody.
No.
There isn't.
Someone tried. It didn't work though.
True. Well, you know.
From the high desert.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness.
Good old Hez.
Oh. Apparently, she was asked recently about whether or not she was coming back, and she said no. This was recently, just a few days ago.
She's had more comebacks than smallpox.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
I used to phone up one of my friends and do Heather impressions all the time. It became like a problem because I started to do it in normal day-to-day conversation.
You know, Gary was in radio, right? Of course you know that.
Face for radio too, by the way. Just let's update that.
Excuse me, I was going to defend you when Thomas said it. Rude.
Yeah, where were you, Gary? You were late on that one.
I don't like to interrupt, considering it wasn't me that was invited, it was Thomas, so I was being quiet.
Just took a little nudge.
That's all it took, man. That's all it took.
Yeah.
That's all it took.
Best thing about it is to be relaxed, go with it, and keep that blood pressure low.
Well, next week, by the way, I do have kind of a pseudo announcement here for our listeners, and Thomas and your team, you can check on in. I was talking to my business partner of Spaced Out Radio today, and we have tentatively decided, and we'll get more into it as we go on, but we have tentatively decided that April 22nd through 24th of 2022, so lots of 4s and 2s in there, April 22nd and 24th, 2022 is going to be the Spaced Out Radio Party in Vegas.
Oh.
That is the dates we are aiming for. So if you're in our chat room and you want to come party with us in Vegas, we're not doing a conference. We're not doing anything. We're just having a 2.5-day social gathering of Spaced Out Radio, hanging on out. Fessler will come in from via Zoom or Skype or StreamYard, because he can't go anywhere. His gout filled up his lungs, and he can't do anything now. Maybe a case of shingles on the side or something, right? He's got all the good stuff. happening. But if you're feeling better at that point, make sure you put April 22nd to 24th on your calendar, because that will be the SOR Vegas party where we're just coming on in. And I want to know if you are coming, if you say, I'm going to be there, I need to know, because we are going to be making everybody who confirms with me 100% that they are going to Vegas. I need to know, because everybody who shows up is going to get a spaced out radio package from us.
Oh, nice.
A little gift saying thank you very much for being a listener. That's what it is.
Nice. You know, Stephen Barone from UFOs Over Vegas. Of course, he's right there close to Vegas in Red Rock Canyon.
Well, we're going to bring in a bunch of former guests and friends of this show. We have some of our radio people, like from our radio stations, who want to come in and hang out with us.
And on April 25th, you will wake up and find that Dave's gone missing, and then it will lead to a load of hijinks to try and track him down around Vegas. I saw it in a movie.
If it happens, it happens. What goes in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but that's what we're doing.
Sounds like a nice time. Which hotel are you planning on?
You know what? We're just gonna plan a get together. It's nothing serious the first time around. We want to see how it goes. We want to see what kind of turnout. I'm not expecting hundreds. I'm not expecting thousands, but if we get 20 to 50 people, that's a good party, man.
Yeah.
That's a good party, and we can make everything kind of happen there and get together. Like I said, I'm gonna bring in some friends from not only Vegas, but I have some people from California who want to show up. I have some other friends, like Varla Ventura wants to come, and she's in Wisconsin or Minnesota or someplace like that. We have a number of people who want to come in from all around, and we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. Heck, even Aussie Ange might fly in. Who knows? Who knows? So we're going to see how it goes, and we're just going to gather at some center bar of a hotel, and we're just going to party. Maybe we'll line up a dinner or something like that. I don't know. Who knows? We may get lucky, and Bumblefoot may be playing in Vegas that weekend. If he is, we'll all make sure that we go show up at the concert. I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but we're gonna make sure that we are going to have a good time there. So when the official announcement is made, we will be putting it on our website, and we'll give you an email address to confirm that you are going. And if you are going, then we'll make sure that there is a very nice spaced out radio package for you to take home as a souvenir from Vegas. We'll get some t-shirts made up. We'll get some other cool stuff made up specifically for the Vegas party, and it will be awesome. And if nobody shows up, screw all of you. I'm going to have a good time anyways. No, I'm teasing. At least if Chad Smith shows up, then it'll be a good time. Otherwise, I'll be, Oh, the Tuscany Hotel. You know what, Amy O? You and I will talk about that. That will be cool, because I believe she works at Tuscany Hotel.
Gotta go to Old Town. That place is a blast.
We'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. But Thomas, you and your team, excuse me, I'm a rookie. You and your team are all invited as well.
Yeah.
Anybody's invited. There is nobody who, unless you're banned from our channel,
I know someone who's not invited. I'm not going to say.
No. I'm just
Heather.
Here, man. Yeah. No, I'm just gonna hold the party. We're gonna advertise it, and it's just a common get together where we can all hang out, shake hands, say hello, have a few drinks, take some pictures, talk some UFOs, We're not doing any tours. Like, we're not doing Zach Bagan's place. We're not going out to Area 51.
Oh,
Whatever you want to
no.
do during the day, you go do it. But at the evening, we're all going to hang out and have a really good time.
You need to have the spaced out radio Vegas cahoots.
It's a nice T-shirt. I may
Yeah.
put an owl on a T-shirt and put cahoots on there.
There you go.
Why not? Why not? We'll invite anybody who wants to come. There is no official invite list. And yes, Jonathan Davies, it's a piss up. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. Jonathan Davies, if you could make it from Europe, the UK, I'd love it. He's from Wales.
Yeah.
Oh, what it are?
What the hell? English, man.
That's hello and well.
You're a part of the Commonwealth. Talk English.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. All right.
Well,
Well,
eating
I'm
more than
pretty
this
much
will
done here. Thomas, I'm going to say a big good night to you, my friend.
You need to go to the store and buy more. Yeah.
What are
We
we
have
buying
learned
more
that
of?
Thomas needs to
More
go to the store
Sorry,
to buy
I've
more.
got dog snacks. Are actually these little Aussie bites. They're really good. It's like dried oatmeal. It's oatmeal and what do you call it? Quinoa and raisins and dried apricots and stuff. It's the only thing the dog will eat in the morning for breakfast now. There was 2 left, and Luke just had 1.5 of them. It's like, is that the last one? Breakfast for the dog. She's 17.
No reasons for her.
Oh, no. Yeah, I heard the latest about Viagra, Dave.
No.
It actually reduces the cases of Alzheimer's by like 70% in the control group.
You know what? I did hear something about that.
Yeah.
And then of course the hands cleaning people, they come out because they have to get into everything. They're kind of like, when you're on an airplane and you need a doctor and the vegan stands up and says, I'm a vegan. They're the hand washing crowd is like that. And they come out with a stat today that if you wash your hands 5 times a day, you clear up your respiratory problems by 45% by washing your hands 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the Viagra shipment that was stolen?
Oh, this sounds
They
like
don't know who did it, but the police are on the lookout for hardened criminals. Thank you.
That is terrible. On that note, gentlemen, I'm saying goodnight to you guys. Way to ruin a great show there, Triple Act. Thank you.
I could have used my other one. I've got another one.
No, it's okay. It's
Okay.
Let's see. Now you got Jonathan from Wales. A guy robbed a bank while using Viagra. It was a stick up. Come on. This is terrible. You might as well fire away now there.
Go for it, Gary.
That's what she said.
Now you're
Thank
going to
you,
get us
Thomas.
kicked off the show, Gary. Great job.
Sorry.
Thomas, you're banned for at least 3 hours here. Even
This
though I
is
won't
why
be
I'm
on
not
here.
invited.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, have a
Appreciate
great
it.
one, Dave.
See you later,
Good night.
Dave.
Take care.
Good night, Ack. Take care. Love Thomas Fessler. What a great dude, man. What a great dude. And Triple Ack there, amazing guy. Amazing guy. Just fantastic people there. What a great show. Hi, Nikki. How are you? Ozzy Rob, how's tomorrow looking? Or later today looking, I should say now. And Chad Smith still hooring out his channel in our chat room. That's always nice. Oh, Chad, you kill me. You kill me. Oh. Gong Show. That's called a hallucinogen. a hallucinogen. Anyways, let's see here. Spooky, it's almost time to get warmed up, bud. I want to say a big thank you to Guillermo and to Backspin, Surf Jer, Kira, Jeffrey, Dirty Filth, Ozzy Ange, Spooky, Dijo, and Triple Ack for the amazing super chats tonight. It is a wonderful, wonderful way to really, really help us grow on a nightly basis and to support what we do. So we work pretty hard for you guys each and every day, our entire team. I want to say a big thank you to our guest tonight, Reverend Michael Carter, for a different perspective on everything. Tomorrow night on the show, Science Bob is back. We're going to talk ET contact, extraterrestrials, UFOs. Bob Davis is going to join us. He's got an incredible story. You may not have heard from him, but you will after tomorrow night. So Science Bob and Friends, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Once again, if you want to follow me personally on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Dave Scott SOR. Same handle at Dave Scott SOR. On Instagram, we're really looking to build our Instagram and TikTok right now. Instagram is at Spaced Out Radio Show. And on TikTok, it's at Spaced Out Radio. And if you want to find us on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio as well. If you're on Facebook, join our group, Spaced Out Radio. Of course, what else are we going to name the damn thing? And we really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to all the vets who tuned on in. Thank you to our new listeners for hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell. And thank you to each and every regular that we had in our audience tonight. We can't do it without you. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for a wonderful, wonderful show. And guess what? The best part about it is in like 20 and a half hours, we're going to do it all again. And I hope each and every one of you will be back. Don't forget, if you want to check it out, we got new swag on the store right now. I should probably show you that before we continue on here. Let me just bring it on up. And where are we here? Let's share this. Go to this screen here. Share. And of course, you got, where are we here? There we go. Here's our store. All right, we got the Lip Blade shirts, the El Ovni Volador shorts. If you want some boxers, or if you want some nice lacy panties, you can get those too. Thank you, Ben from UFO Garage, for putting those on. If you're a fan of Merle, we got Merle shirts. How about Spaced Out Radio shoes? We got some brand new tank tops here. Team Rock, Team Stump for the ladies. All right, those are pretty good. And we're going to be putting up the Team Rock t-shirts and the Team Stump t-shirts as well. We got pillows. We got the Woo Train. We got great hats of We Own the Night. The SOR shirt. Immortal Being shirt right there. I love this one. That one, because I made it. That's why I love it. All right. We got a lot of cool stuff. And you got aliens right there. You want some aliens? You got aliens right there. So make sure you check it on out. Do me a favor if you haven't. Okay, after this, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button right here, ring that bell, and do us a favor. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think about tonight's show. And the guest, keep it polite in the comments. If you don't mind, thank you so much. All right, Spooky Morales, it's that time once again for you to take us home. Warm up that trumpet.